And we are live. Once again, what's on with the Black Comic Lords with Wakanda Whiskey, BLERDDOM, and Bourbon. My boy Marc is out on vacation in Chicago. Shout out to Marc, ATL Blerd. But I have, arguably traded up with your boy OG Rich, aka King Richard the Pantherhearted, aka the Golden Dollar Bin Flipper, aka I will slap the taste out your mouth if you don't come correct, and Briana.
Hey,
Briana, we got to work you in here before we can figure out what your AKAs and nicknames are.
Oh, that's fine. I'm cracking up at all of his. He has enough for the two of us, so it's all good.
That's all good. All right. Well, I'm so happy to have the two of you with me tonight. Everyone who's watching this, please like, subscribe, and comment below. We would really appreciate that. It helps us out, helps us do what we do. And with that, let's jump into what we got going on this week. With all things when it comes to Black Comic Lords, it's always about the comics. So let's start with the comics. What are our reads of the week? Any one of you.
Oh, cool.
Jump in first.
I placed an order with my friends at Magnetic Press, and so I got some pretty cool new books. Infinity 8, Volume 4.
What is that?
This is like one of the most fun things you'll pick up. So basically, it's like a series of heists that are happening from this like elite squad.
Right.
And each volume is a different perspective from one of the members of the squad, like doing a heist. And this particular one, I obviously picked up because our woman performing the heist is a sister and it's in space. But like the color palette on this thing is ridiculous. And all of the aliens here look kind of like they're underwater. So I was like, that looks pretty cool. And then picking it up and checking it out a little bit. It's just fun. Like the whole thing is fun. It's kind of snarky. The art is dope.
Oh, that does look good.
Yeah.
Who's the writer and artist on that?
So it's Martin Tristram and Louis Trondheim. And I'm not super familiar with them directly as far as like the rest of their works. But yeah, the art style is really dope. It's fun. Hilarity ensues as they pretty much have like a cluster cuss of this situation for the heist. But yeah, she's pretty dope. It's been an interesting read, and I like how they took like South African elements and culture elements and just threw it in space, but made all of the space creatures like underwater looking creatures.
That's what's up. And it's called Infinity 8. Show the cover again.
Yeah, it's called Infinity 8, and her issue, or her volume, is volume 4.
So that's volume 4. All right, that's what's up.
Yeah, so that one's pretty dope. And then also
shout out to our girl Tamiko, who's on vacation. Great day indeed.
I also picked up Paris 2119. This is
when your fan says hi, Jamie Personal.
Hey Jamie, what's up, boo? See, I got my fellow book club weirdos in the spot. They came through whenever I hop on a live. They usually show love. So what's up, Jamie?
That's what's up.
already.
Nice. So yeah, I got Paris 2119, and this is the Peach Momoko variant cover for the hardcover.
Look. Oh, hold up. That's Peach Momoko?
Yeah.
See, I'm constantly deriding Peach Momoko because of her inability to draw Black people appropriately. I've seen so many Peach Momoko pictures where she's got Black people's lips just looking crazy, but that's the dopest Black person I've ever seen Peach Momoko ever do in my life.
Well, I
That's
mean,
pretty dope.
I'm a huge fan of Peach Momoko's artwork, so it was like the regular cover for this is dope too. But if I can cop the Peach Momoko variant, that's what I'm gonna do. But yeah, it's dope. It's an oversized hardcover, another magnetic press title, and
Wow.
basically, it's like set in the far future, and instead of like ground transportation like a train or a bus or a car or whatever, they have these like pods where you go in and it evaporates your body and transports you to another location.
Mhm.
But the lead character is a guy who's like a nostalgic and refuses to do all of that because he's like, you know, anarchy. I believe there's whatever going on against with the government, so I don't trust anything that they're doing. And he has every right. I don't want to spoil it, but the way that it turns out is pretty freaking wild. And obviously Peach doesn't do the art for the whole thing, but it's like a darker grayscale with pops of color type of color palette, and it looks very grunge. Like it looks like it could be based in like San Francisco, obviously in 2119. But yeah, it's pretty wild. I enjoyed that one too. And then I got the Eightfold Path.
Now I've heard of that one.
Abrams
wrote
Books sent this one to me. It's a Megascope title, so we're
John Jennings.
Yeah. I'm on their PR list, so I get all of their books. And this one is basically like about the Buddhist experience. Obviously, the Eightfold Path is a reference to that, but it's an anthology, and each story is a reference to one of those paths. But it's like super futuristic. The story that I was just reading from it, they're like telling the story as the couple is having sex, so it's a vibe. It's pretty hilarious. I like that one a lot too. And then lastly I wanted to share was the 27 Run Crush.
Okay. I think I have the first issue of that.
Yeah, this is a Wave Blue World title. This is the hardcover. Word to my friends at A Wave Blue World for comping your girl some dope books. But this one is like, I love anything with mechs in it. And you throw in mechs, and that the main character is a black woman, and like her dog is her sidekick. I thought it was hilarious. It's a good time. So yeah, the 27 Run Crush.
If you like mechs, have you checked out the series We Ride Titans?
No, and I seen that, but I was like, so y'all, my comic buying habits had gotten slightly out of control. I'm not gonna lie. Once I got access to Comic Hub, I was just like, all right, if it looks cool, add it. And because you pre-order 3 weeks ahead and then you just pay once you get there, I would be like, I don't even remember what I put in my pulls. What did I even get? And then I get up there and it's like, oh yeah, no big deal. I just spent like $200-300 on comics.
The pre-order struggle is real.
It's so insane. And it's like, if it was a situation where it's like you just pay as you're doing it, then I might not have been messing up so badly, but it's not. So I was like, we got to get this under control. So that was a title that I did see in one final order cutoff or another, but I was like, I'm trying to be more mindful about what I'm buying. And if it's not strictly, because my goal is like collecting women of color and comics in general. So if it doesn't fall under that category now, I'm real selective about like, am I going to add this because it's just going to boost how much money I spend. Also, like my friends at Cape and Cow Comics in Oakland, every time I go there, they have like all of the dope recs for me. So I have to like leave room in the budget for whatever they're going to recommend that I get on top of my pool. So I haven't checked that one out, but I probably will when the trade comes around just to save money.
Do you live over by Oakland?
Yeah, so I live in Hercules. It's like 30 minutes or so from Oakland, but that's my spot. Like there's a couple spots that are closer, but Cape and Cow just takes better care of me. They got better options. It's a whole vibe over there, so I make that trip just to
That's what's up. That's what's up. Derek says, I have pre-orders at a few different places, and I often lose track of what I pre-ordered where. So I end up with unintentional duplicates. That is my struggle. That is my struggle, because sometimes you forget you pre-order at some place and you end up pre-ordering at another place. And then you're like, why do I have 3 copies of the same issue?
See, no, I get all of my books from Cape and Cow unless it's like a limited edition cover, in which case I'll get it directly from that shop, or I usually use like Unknown Comics because their app is pretty dope and they give really good discounts if you order, like if you pre-order early enough.
That's how they get you, is those 30% off.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, so I'll just get my general books from Cape and Cow, and if there's a limited edition something or exclusive variant or something, I'll get it from there, because otherwise you would be all over the place and having lots of overlap, and I'm not at that phase in my collecting where I'm like, yeah, it's fine that I have 8 covers of this.
I'll just sell it eventually.
That's
when
right,
I have that plan. So Rich, you up, brother? What's going on? What you got?
What up? First, before I get to my what my reads is, I wanted to take a moment and shout out a fellow Black comic lord. Stephen Bowers is a gentleman in our space who is a savant collector. Now, someone who may or may not know what a savant collector is, that's someone that does not collect like an average comic book collector. Stephen is on another level. In fact, Stephen's probably on his own level. Stephen is a brother in our community. He has all Negro comics, #1. That in itself is an accomplishment. And
if you don't know the significance of that book, I highly recommend you check out blackcomiclords.net, check out our Black Issue Explorer, and look at the significance of that book. It's tremendously important.
Absolutely. So, what do you do for an encore? Well, if you're Stephen, you're always thinking about the next level or the next rush. And so Stephen just caught recently Negro Romance. Negro Romance is a comic book from 1950. Only 3 issues of this book. The significance of this book is that #1, it's 1950. #2, it has Negro in the title. There's only like 6 or 7 books that actually have the word Negro in a comic book title. So this book is very, very significant. And this book is beyond being a ghost. This book you cannot find. I think I'm not sure who he copped it from, but I've had conversations and it's been taking a minute for him to get this book. Well over a year, I'll say it like that. But he finally got it. Shout him out. That's a major accomplishment for a comic book collector. Some guys collect in our space certain, for art. Some guys collect for spec. Some guys collect for history. Stephen's a history buff, and he collects a lot of Golden Age books. A lot of Golden Age stuff is considered offensive because of the way we were portrayed. Everybody doesn't have soul for the dope. And what I mean by that is that this is not everybody's jam. But I'm glad it's Stephen's. Stephen has an extensive comic book collection that has sick comic books. I'm talking about stuff. So this book, Negro Romance, is just one such book. It's a major accomplishment. There are not too many people on the planet that have this book. You can find this book maybe in a university or in a museum, but that's about it. You're not going to find this in a comic book shop. These books are very, 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 very rare. And so for my man, I want to salute him. I told him I was going to shout him out tonight. I wanted him to, to let him know that we're proud of him. We're glad of his accomplishments. And one thing about Stephen, anything that he does, he feels like he does it for the black comic book community. It's not something he just does for himself, because he's got a collection that is ridiculous as is.
It's really unparalleled.
It's pretty sick. That's all I can say. I have no really words to describe his collection. And what I love about that brother is very, very loves to share. He's passionate about the book. And, you know, I wanted to just say salute that brother because, again, that's a major accomplishment. That's not something that you just go grab out of a comic book. These books, the Negro romance books in particularly, are hidden because in the 1950s, this was a positive image. And because it's a positive image, in 1950, it was, I would say, ahead of its time. As you can see, that price on that book was 10 cents. So books back then, in the 50s, Black characters did not look like that. So again, this is history. And because it's history, you know, we have to salute it. Imani says, how do we go about preserving collections like his? Well, we've had this conversation before, Imani, and I would tell you that ultimately it's up to that private collector to what they want to do. I've had conversations with Stephen. Stephen wants to do museum type stuff. He's got lofty goals, but he's going to need help. And I told him that whenever he really felt like he wanted to do it, that he has my support, and that I'll be right there with him, 10 toes down, ready to try to make it happen. And again, you know what I'm saying? It's a major accomplishment. You know what I'm saying? Don't be surprised if Stephen gets hit up by heritage auctions or anybody like this. This book here does not show up at all. It is very, very rare. And like I said, this is June of 1950 when these books came out. Only 3 issues. And again, for the times, that was amazing. And so we just salute that brother. So Stephen, shout out to you, my man. Love you, dude. And I'm pretty sure he'll share with us in greater detail his journey to getting that book, because
Salute.
I remember when he got his All Negro comics, the story that he told behind that. And there's a story behind this book that he has too. And that's the other thing too. Me and him have had conversations. The books are fine, and that's great, but it's the story behind the books. It's the stories behind being able to go after these books, because that's like, you know, All Negro comics is like climbing Mount Everest. And then going and get Negro romance is like Kilimanjaro. Okay? You know what I'm saying? That's like, why would you even try to do that, bro? That you can't do that. But I remember I've had conversations with him talking about All Negro romance, and to see it happen. So yes, I am extremely excited and stacked for what that brother's going to be able to continue to contribute to the comic book community. Having said that, let me just share what I read this week. A couple of books. What did I do with it? Oh, this is the Boss Logic cover. I love this cover.
Yes,
this
sir.
is pretty dope. I know you got this cover, Paul.
I may have a few.
I definitely copped that cover too.
Yeah. So I don't know if you really want to break. You want to break Black Panther down, or you want to talk about my other book first?
Let's talk about Black Panther. Well, let's leave Black Panther. Black Panther. Look, this is the Wakanda whiskey, bourbon, and BLERDDOM bourbon show.
Yeah.
So Wakanda always has its own special section. So we'll leave Wakanda for that.
Okay.
Show me something, because you and I have the same books of the week, so at least a few of them.
Yeah. Now this one, bro, say what you want. I Am Batman is a serious story.
Yes, sir.
Serious. I think that this issue number, has kind of solidified him as his own character, his own struggle, his own name. And shout out to John Ridley, bro. I'm like, are you kidding me? What was that, a year or two ago when we were first talking about Future State? I am the next Batman? No, it's not next. He ain't got next. He is Batman.
You
That's
can
what's up.
literally
Batman.
skip the future state Gotham, the future state Batman. You can skip Batman Second Son and just start your Jace Fox Batman with this run, and you won't miss anything. I can't say enough about this book. This book is being slept on, and the writing is just up there. He has defined Jace Fox as his own character. Did you notice the nuance of how he referred to Bruce Wayne as the Batman and himself as Batman?
Yep. Oh, he got his swag up on this one. I ain't mad at it. I am not mad at it at all. Yes, sir. It's funny though, because here's the funny part, Paul. We're gonna talk about Black Panther later on, but John Ridley is writing Black Panther 2. So to have two big books like this going on at the same time, oh yeah, I'm here for it. I'm here for all the smoke, all the mayonnaise, whatever y'all got to say. I'll let your boy. Let's have a conversation.
Let's
really,
talk about that for a sec. Has that ever happened in comic book history before, where you have a black writer writing for Marvel and DC, the big two, at the same time, but with the two most preeminent, well, I wouldn't say, well, kind of. I mean, I was going to say the two most preeminent black characters, in the sense that we all know that 40% of DC Comics is Batman related.
Yep.
So in terms of that, he's kind of got like the two preeminent black superheroes for the big two.
Now, in this issue, he gets...
We lost you a little bit there. What'd you say?
He gets his head handed to him.
He gets his ass kicked, dude. You can't even mince on that.
The villain in this story, I don't know who Homeboy is, but he just, man, a man ran off.
Don't give the story away.
I don't want to run it. I don't want to give the story away, but look, there are what they call strategic retreats, and there's what you call run off. He got ran off. Okay. So, but I really am enjoying this book because now we do have a villain that is, I would say, comparable to this character. One of the things that I like about this Batman story is that he's getting his own rogues gallery. He's getting his own identity, and I'm glad that they moved him to New York. And so,
and he's getting his own sidekick.
Well, we'll see. He kind of tried to brush old girl off. I didn't like that. I just think that they playing with us. At some point we're going to see her. Isn't she in the Batman Black and White issue 3?
Yes, she is. She is. In fact, she has a cover appearance on the second print of that run.
Yeah, it's a sketch variant. I picked that up.
Done by Olivier Coipel, which is one of my favorite cover artists.
You know what? I think that guy Coipel is actually this generation's Mobius. Might want to collect everything that dude is doing.
I try.
Because the Mobius, the hardware Mobius and the static 45 Mobius, those books are $300-$400. Yeah, good luck getting that. But yeah, great artist though. But I mean, as far as she goes, Tiffany Fox, that's her name, right?
Yep.
Is it Tiffany? Yeah. Tiffany. She's certified. I like her as a character. I hope that they keep her around. And I hope that Chase really does something with her. But we'll see where it really takes us. We'll see where he takes us.
This is the Batman Black and White #3, second print, with Tiffany Fox on the cover in the outfit that she wears inside the book, but is certainly what we can expect in the future. You don't know what
That's
her
dope.
name is going to be. I mean, there's no word that she's actually going to be Robin. She may be something completely different. But
If you could give her a name, what would you call her?
Raven.
Ooh, well, that's already taken.
That's already been taken. Raven is logical. I like Raven, but then I thought Blackbird.
No. Sparrow.
They probably would do something like Sparrow, just because it doesn't have as much power behind it, I feel like.
Yeah, but sparrows are quick.
Ooh. Is that a shot at DC? I'm sorry.
100%. Let's be real about it. They're only gonna let her have so much shine in whatever role she comes out.
Briana's been on the show 5 minutes and she's already throwing shade at DC. I love it.
I mean, it's not
Come on,
shade.
Briana.
These are facts. It's not shade. It's just facts. Like that. There's not even like any animosity behind it. It's just like it is what it is. Just the fact. Just like you said yourself, like 40% of DC books are Batman books, and
Yeah.
I already told you I'm not like a major Batman fan, like at all in any sense of the word. So it's just like I have zero faith that they will do right by her character, even though she seems pretty dope.
Well, I mean, the thing
James
is, though,
Tomlinson says there can be more than one Raven in the DC universe.
That's what I said. Raven would be dope.
I get it. Yeah, I mean, it's
Or
true
they'll
that
do some like variation of Raven, because they're gonna pick some Blackbird if they make her a Robin equivalent, right?
Right. It's got to be something derivative of some bird or bird of prey.
And now I will eat my ponytail if they bust it out and give her whole own shine, completely separate name, all of the vibes, and let her
Look,
do her thing.
John Ridley's writing it. Don't sleep on it. I'm telling you. I don't think he's gonna make her some little, marginalized character. I don't see that happening. From her whole attitude in her discussions with her brother, I don't see that happening.
I could see
James
her actually
Thompson
doing
says Shadow Raven.
Shadow
Raven sounds dope. I like
Shadow
that
Raven
name.
is flame. I was gonna say they might pull something like Dark Raven, because what's that run that they're coming out with? The new like Justice League. It's like
the Young Justice League.
But it's called Dark Justice or something like that.
Right.
And I was like, for real? This is like the most melanated team we're gonna get, and you decide to call it Dark anything? Like, that was not the vibe. Somebody missed the memo. They missed the mark on that one. But I mean, I'll take it. They should have called it something
Briana,
else.
anytime you want to hang out with your boy on a Sunday night, you are. For all of this, man. Yeah,
I can't even
that's
seriously though. I seen the art for it because I low-key stalk some of these artists on their Instagrams, because they'll drop stuff like, upcoming cover. That's usually how I see the artwork before, they say final order cutoff or whatever. So I'm looking at the art and I was like, yo, what is this team up? Like, I'm here for that. Like, give me all of the melanin on this team. And then I think it was like a week later, I seen it in the pre-orders on Unknown Comics, because they do theirs like 6 weeks instead of the 3 weeks. And it said Dark Justice, or it was Dark something. And I was like,
let me tell you something. This new Justice League team they're coming out with is not only the most melanated Justice League team of all time. Name me a Justice League team that's not named Milestone, that's not made by Milestone, that's ever been this melanated. You can't. Fanboys about to lose their damn minds.
Oh, their entire shit. That's why I was like, so maybe they're trying to like reverse it, like let's reclaim this and make it a positive thing. But I also feel like, why even do that? Because I feel like you're just giving the I'm trying to find a nice way to say
Derek says I can bust out the disclaimer soon. All right, so Derek is reminding me of my responsibilities as legal counsel to the Black Comic Lords to put out the disclaimer that nothing that is said by either myself, Richard, or Briana can be assumed to be the opinions of the Black Comic Lords, Black Superheroes Forever, BlackComicLords.net, or any of its derivative agencies, associations, or figures. All opinions expressed tonight are the opinions of the individuals and are not to be considered part of the Black Comic Lords. Continue.
100%. Every single last one of my hot takes, I take 100% credit for.
Hot picks.
No. Here's the thing, though. I think
most people say hot picks, and they're like, "Yeah, this book is really good." I get the feeling Briana's hot picks is like, "I got heat for this book."
Yeah, hot takes all day long. Like Richard said, I want all the smoke. Run it.
Oh.
James Thomas says Dwayne McDuffie said it. Rule of two. Look, I've been talking about this rule of two. Actually, it's a rule of three. You will never have more than 3 Black characters on any cover. First of all, getting 3 Black characters on a cover of a comic is difficult. On a mainstream book, on a Marvel or DC mainstream book, it's very difficult to find 3 Black characters. I have a personal rule that if I see 3 Black characters on the cover of a mainstream book, I'm going to pick it up because it doesn't happen that often. But within the contents of the book, Marvel and DC, generally speaking, have a rule where you can't have more than 2 Black characters on a team. It just doesn't. They don't do that. Because if you have more than 2 Black characters on a team, it's considered a Black team.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah, James said the same thing. More than 2 Black characters is a Black team.
I mean, can we say the Ultimates was a Black team? I guess you could, theoretically, but nobody really counts it.
That was a Black team. It's very rare. That's why the Ultimates, is one of the most special books Marvel's ever done. 100%. The Ultimates and Mighty Avengers and Captain America and the Mighty Avengers. Those 3 runs, which are all close in time. This is back when Marvel's doing its Marvel Now type of period.
So who are the Black characters in Mighty Avengers, though?
Mighty Avengers had the only white characters was She-Hulk and Carol Danvers, but it also had Spectrum, Power Man, the Victor. What's Victor's last name, dude?
Victor who?
Power Man. You said you were just reading Shadowland.
I don't know his last name.
So Power Man, White Tiger, something Ayala.
Hector Ayala.
What?
I think it's Hector.
No, not Hector. Oh, you're talking about Power Man?
No, you talking about White Tiger?
Yeah, White Tiger is the woman White Tiger.
Oh, that's
I forget her first name, but her last name's Ayala. So Power Man, White Tiger, Spectrum, Blue Marvel, Luke Cage, and Sam Wilson, Captain Falcon. So that's just
nobody
talks about Marvel's ever had.
Nobody talks about those books.
And Superior Spider-Man.
Even though it's a decent run. I mean, people think about the crew before they actually think about the Ultimates.
Yeah. First of all, the crew wasn't that big. The crew was Luke Cage, War Machine, it wasn't Black Panther. Cole Cash, Casper Cole. Black people guess it was Black Panther, White Tiger, whatever.
Light skin Cole.
Light skin Black Panther. And the 4th guy that no one remembers because he's a white guy that they used once and they never used him again. So,
but I mean, they considered that to be the first Black team. So even though it had a white cast, I mean, Carol Danvers was the only white person really on the Ultimates. But
Yeah.
again, nobody cares about them.
Oh, I care.
But either way, okay. I gotta say that I think that as far as the character goes, I would like to see her in Young Justice, if you know, or if she's gonna do things within the Bat family, um, maybe something with the Birds of Prey. That's an option.
That'd be dope. Well,
Please,
Birds of Prey
we'll
just
please
got
give
Ghost.
us an opportunity to elevate that to something that's actually dope.
Well,
That
I'll
would be,
tell you what.
that would be
That now,
phenomenal if they just revamped that with her. I'm here for it.
Yeah.
Give me all of that.
now, did anybody read Batwoman #1?
You mean the Earth Prime 3?
Yes.
I did. It was. If you're
Very
a fan
wordy.
of the show, you'll like the book
Very wordy.
because it reads exactly as the show.
I picked up both covers for that one, but I haven't read it yet.
I did. I mean, it's literally. First of all, there's a backup story done by the actor who plays Luke Fox. He's not just an actor; he's also a writer. He actually wrote Batman Urban Legends story for his character. I think it was number 6 or number 8, if I'm not mistaken. So he's a writer, director, actor. He's getting into comic book writing as well.
Still can't save the show.
Still can't say the show. I don't think the show is as bad as people make it out to be. It's gotten better.
It
has gotten better.
I'm not saying
It's gotten better.
I'm not saying it's bad. I'm not saying it's terrible. I'm just saying that it's not. Here's the thing. When something is
I like
good, people
this
talk about
version of the show more than the first season.
people talk about it, but no one that I know is talking about it. So I'm trying to figure out why that is. I watched the first 4 or 5 episodes, and I wasn't compelled to like continue to watch it.
It gets
You
better.
know, I gave it a shot. Huh?
It gets better.
I'm gonna say this. All right. How many terrible Batman shows have y'all watched? How many terrible Batman movies?
There haven't been
y'all
that many
watched?
Batman shows.
Okay, Batman movies.
terrible
I
Batman
mean, we
movies?
all we saw perking up with Batman. I mean, everybody's
So,
seen
but that's
George
my
Clooney.
point, though. That's my
Yeah.
point. Every character gets their opportunity to evolve, and they get to try different things to see what's going to work and what's going to find its home in an audience, so they can give you more of the elements that did work. So
Yeah.
I feel like it's really shady, especially for people in the comic community who know the evolutionary process of these types of characters. Like, what did it take for any of these characters to get to a place where they're like, oh, regardless of what's happening, you're gonna have like 8 Batman books happening at the same damn time. You know what I'm saying? But here we are, and she gets her first iteration on television as a show in this way, where it's just her, and it's not, she's the main character. She gets her own vibe, and you have to deal with every single person nitpicking every aspect of it because it hasn't been done before. But if you look at it for what it is, the bare bones of what it is, the first time that they're doing this for this version of this character, it's not as bad as what everybody's making it out to be, especially considering it's the first time that somebody's doing it.
Tamiko's agreeing with you. She says Batwoman is a good show. It's just a lot of CW slander, just like with the Naomi show.
Oh no, the Naomi show is terrible. I'm sorry. You own that ship by yourself, Tamiko.
And you know what?
I
will be 100% honest, and I'll chat more with Tamiko about it because she knows the vibes. Thank you for saying that, Tamiko. But like, realistically though, it's the same type of issue with Naomi. Everybody's going to like run it through the ream because it's got a lot of the same major plot points as every other superhero. You know what I'm saying? Like, they were like, we're going to take this story that everyone has heard before, but give it to a Black woman and then put it on the screen and then put it under arguably one of the wackest networks that we possibly can, because we don't want to spend a lot of freaking money on it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
like, give it the
I
credit
think
that's
that's
due
what,
for being
I
what it
think
can
that's
under these circumstances. That's all I'm
yeah.
saying.
There's a few things on this.
I
There's a
think
few.
that. Go ahead.
Part of the problem is
Go ahead, Paul.
the fact that both the shows are on the CW, so it's very limited. If you compare Warner Brothers, which owns DC, if you compare the shows that they do with like Titans, or even better, Peacemaker, you know, Peacemaker was one of the best superhero shows I've ever seen. I'll stand on that square. Peacemaker was a good superhero show. It was just well budgeted, good special effects, good mixture of humor and action, and I had no problems with the show. I like the show. I don't care what anybody says. Peacemaker's a good show. But if you took shows like Naomi and Batwoman and put them in those elements, you would have a completely different show. Moreover, when's the last time we saw black woman superheroes on television with as the leads?
Well,
Say that.
Really, you know.
This is the first freaking time. No one's talking about that. There's never been a black woman superhero show before. We've got two of them on at the same time, and both of them are getting panned by us, especially.
Here's the thing about that, though. Here's the thing about that. With a character like Naomi,
yeah,
David Walker and Brian Michael Bendis. Okay, you take a masterpiece and you send it to the D leagues. Sorry, CW. I'll never forgive you for what you and I gotta ask the ground because I was a Black Lightning guy.
I knew you were gonna circle that back to Black Light.
Yeah,
I was just waiting.
I'm petty and I'm
you
bitter.
can't give the CW trash argument for one show and not do it for another. That's just fair.
Well, here's the thing. I think that what they could do with Naomi, particularly, could they're part of it is marketing. I'm not the market for Naomi, and so for that I kind of like with Static, kind of like that with Static. You know, Static is not my, this version of Static that DC just put out. It's not me. It's Little Uzi Vert or something. It's not my Static. It's not my Static from the 90s. It's not. It's just not. It's not like
Briana. You have unplugged the well, Briana. You've unplugged the well.
Listen, no.
Save that for Sunday night, dude. Save that for Sunday night.
I'm sorry. It wasn't for me, though. It really wasn't. So I'm like, I was hurt. I was in my feelings behind it. Now, as far as the shows go, the CW show.
Miko saying you salty.
Guess what? Stargirl CW show is pretty good. Arrow.
Stargirl is a good show.
Was a pretty good show. The Flash, depends on the season.
The Flash is a good show. It was. I mean, it's gone past its prime, but it was a good show at one point.
So my thought is, okay, you put all this energy into Stargirl and a Justice Society character that nobody reads. Nobody reads Justice Society. Raise your hand if you read Justice Society.
I read the Amazing Man issues.
Yeah. Yeah, that part. Okay. So all I'm saying is that I know I recognize that I have a certain bias that's baked into who I am as a collector. It's baked in who as what I want. When Black Lightning was on screen, the first two seasons, I was like, yes. Then they started going off the rails. And then by the time they finished the show, I was done. So, and that's my guy. Black Lightning is my favorite black superhero, and I had to take that. So I'm in my feelings, Briana. I need therapy.
I mean,
So
as
what
you
they
should
did,
be. But like what I'm saying though,
I feel a
is
lawsuit. Rich wants to sue the CW for post-traumatic stress disorder, intentional infliction of emotional distress.
Okay, so just do this real quick for me, just real quick, just off
Okay.
GP. Consider what other shows are on the CW.
I don't know. I don't follow the CW like that.
You totally just made my point, Paul. Point blank period. CW knows their audience. Who's checking for a CW show? It's not the people who are reading these comics. I guarantee you that.
James says, self-fulfilling mindset. We don't put a lot of money into black leads because they don't sell, but black lead shows don't succeed because they have a lack of money behind them, except Black Panther.
Right, which is why if you send a dope concept to Boo Boo the Fool CW, that's what's gonna happen. Period.
I got a question. I got a question.
Put Black and White on HBO Max and tell me that's not a dope show.
Put that HBO Max money behind it. You got to correct that, Paul. Put that HBO Max money behind it.
That's what I mean by HBO Max. HBO Max has a budget. CW don't have a budget.
Okay, I got a question.
We're not.
Okay, Paul. I got a question.
Yeah,
Paul. This question is for you. You can chime in on this, Briana, too. Would you trust CW with Storm?
Hell no.
Hell no.
First of all, Storm's Marvel, so that doesn't even make sense.
Come on, it's a black lead.
Directly personally attacked if CW comes 10 foot near a Storm show. First of all, you have to see. Shame on you, Richard.
Briana started with first of all. That's how you know it's Briana's like, first of all, I don't trust any Marvel show, any Marvel character that's not produced by Kevin Feige.
Well, look, I'm gonna say it like this. Shame on you, Rich, because you knew this was gonna stir up some stuff. All right.
I'm just saying.
You're not about to bring Queen into this and not stir up some stuff, because we all know that every opportunity to put Storm on screen has been a fail. And y'all can at me, you can fight me, because you know that I'm right.
Hey, I ain't fighting you on that.
Every attempt.
As far as I'm concerned, Storm has never been on screen accurately, period.
100%. 100%. And that's no shade, because if you don't like Halle Berry, you're a hater, period. But was she right for Storm? Absolutely not.
As James says, and even after Black Panther succeeded in multiple markets, we have to convince them to recast T'Challa. Too much black positivity and confidence is dangerous. Now, this is the point. Thank you, James, for that, because this is the point I want to make. And I bring this up in this space a lot. Black Panther, the movie, shattered many myths and the glass ceiling that previously existed. It is one of the most important films for us that's ever been made. And I'm not just saying that because he's my dude, because that's my dude. But I am talking objectively speaking. We've never had a film where the executive producer was black, the director was black, the stars were black, basically all black cast. The people behind the cameras that were doing the costuming and what have you, many of them were black on the crew. And then make a couple $2 billion. So much so that he's the #1 singular superhero film of all time. Never happened. Never was expected. Disney sure as hell didn't expect that. For what they invested in the film, with the cheap ass special effects in the fight scene at the end, for what they invested, Disney got more than what they expected in return, both financially and critically, and just as a cultural movement. But moreover, the most important thing that film did was prove that black people can do it. They didn't want to put they're trying to figure out how to advertise the film in China, because they said we can't put Chadwick Boseman on the poster without his mask on because the Chinese don't like black people. And they said, you know what? Let's go ahead and do it anyway. China helped them make that $1 billion. Thus dispelling that myth. The movie shattered barriers. All the myths are gone. We now know that if you put money in it and you put quality script, quality actors, quality special effects into a quote unquote black project, it will sell. So the point of putting these we have the first black superheroines of all time on TV at the same time and on the freaking CW with low budget sets, low budget special effects, just cheesy CW. Whereas the same parent company, Warner Brothers, owns HBO Max. They could have put that on HBO Max where they have a far larger budget and you don't have the restrictions of a CW audience and make these serious films.
Well, they're not marketing, to Briana's point, they're not marketing those shows, Paul, to comic heads. They're marketing these shows to casuals and to people that like.
So who are they marketing Titans to? Who are they marketing Peacemaker to?
That's for your fanboys, your 25 to 40 crowd.
Let me help you.
Well, look, these are businesses. So obviously they must be making money because Titans is on its like third or fourth season. Peacemaker was greenlit for a second season before the first season was even done. So there's obviously money.
That's because y'all like old boy in that goofy, you know what I was about to cuss, in that goofy hat he got on.
Look.
What was you saying, Briana? What was you saying?
They're giving Penguin his own show on HBO Max. Freaking Penguin. But Black Lightning can't get a show on HBO Max?
Listen, bro.
Come on, what? Man.
I'm gonna say it like this here. Detective Comics, aka DC, will always be Marvel's little brother. Okay? I said it because when it comes to the MCU, that's what DC's been chasing. And they're gonna chase that train. And guess what? It's like the racial wealth gap between black and white. They not gonna catch it. So you get goofy stuff like Peacemaker. Nobody cares. Nobody asks for a Peacemaker show.
And yet, it's one of the most successful superhero shows ever made.
Out of all the characters in the Suicide Squad, how he get a show? What about Deadshot?
But they put some money behind it. They got some good director. They got freaking what's his face? James Gunn to direct it. That guy ain't cheap.
They got John Cena to put on that crazy looking hat and run around in them tights.
Did you watch the show? Did you watch the show? Did you watch the show?
I watched the show. I watched the first 30 minutes of it and turned it off.
That show is excellent. I love that show.
It might be. You a degenerate, Paul. Degenerates like degenerates.
On this one because I feel you, Rich. Because when I seen it, I was like, this is clearly not the show that any of us asked for. So I did not.
But it's the show that we needed.
That's fair. Okay. Now, because you're saying this, Paul, I will take the time to watch it. But I'm not gonna lie. When I seen the advertisements for it, I was like,
it looks absolutely cheesy, and that's the way it's supposed to be. Okay. So I'm trying to tell you. James says if Storm isn't in the MCU, didn't count all previous versions were out of continuity. I don't care. I haven't seen Storm yet. I stand on that. We aren't hated worldwide. If you listen to the other man about the world we exist in, you will never leave your house. Facts. Facts. Go see how popular reggae is in Japan. You see what I'm talking about.
Let me ask you a question, Paul. Let me ask you a question. You too, Briana. Uh-huh. Let me ask you all this question. Where were you when you first saw the trailer for Black Panther? The first trailer. Where were you? Do you remember where you
Where
were?
was I?
I do remember. I was getting ice cream with my mini-me, and I lost my entire... I don't think we can cuss on here, but y'all know what I was about to say. Okay? It went up in the middle of the ice creamery. Do you hear me? Lost my entire mind. It's wild because if you look, you know how Facebook will send you, you're on this day, whatever. I posted the trailer for it with literally all caps. Oh my God, 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 oh my God. Because it was so lush. They gave us just enough, and it was so lush. I'm not gonna play with y'all. I'm not gonna hold y'all. I went to theaters and watched that movie 6 times.
Huh? Only 6?
Only, bruh. I came.
You step your game up, Bree.
I came in full African print, all of the vibes, supporting my local whoever, so that I could come dressed to the 9 in my Wakanda fresh. Do you feel me?
I feel you. I was there.
No expense was spared. And let me help you. Y'all know Ryan Coogler is from Oakland.
Yeah.
Yes. I went to the Thursday night before it came out in Oakland. The vibes alone, impeccable.
Right.
There will never be a better, more epic movie theater experience. So yes, I do remember the first
I'm
time
sure I had
a
close experience because I saw it with my boy Marc in Atlanta on opening night, where it was filmed.
Okay, well, to be fair, Atlanta is technically Wakanda because that's where they recorded.
That's where they filmed it.
All of that, whatever.
And there was a line outside around the building of people dressed in their African garb for this film. Like, what you know about Black Panther? I know this movie is about to be lit. Well, have you read the comics?
Wait,
there's a comics?
The part where they show Oakland 19 whatever,
yeah,
when they pull up, the entire theater lost their ever-loving minds, because when have you ever watched a superhero movie as somebody from Oakland and they recognize this is where it's placed at? We are in Oakland in this movie. It took a while. They literally had to get everybody to be quiet just so we could move forward and watch the rest of the movie, because people were screaming like fanatics after seeing Oakland on the screen.
That's that's the when I knew that Coogler was from Oakland, and so when I heard the Too Short, I was like, they got Too Short in a Marvel movie? Okay.
Run it.
But here's my point. Paul, you said earlier that Black Panther shattered all these records and all these expectations, right?
Right.
But
all the myths.
Can you really say you were surprised? Can any of us really say that we were surprised that movie wasn't a hit? We knew.
No, because I followed the movie from the minute the movie was announced. I followed every piece of information that was dropped about the film. I followed how Ryan Coogler and Chadwick Boseman traveled to Africa to do their research. How Chadwick Boseman said, "I'm going to get my dialect right," and he went to John Kanai to make sure he had his dialect correct. How Ruby Carter went to Africa to try and emulate the costumes, the Homie tribes. All that. I was following all that. And I was like, these people are putting in the work. They had the opportunity and they didn't waste it. It's like they recognized the weight of what was being put on them. Marvel gave them budget. Quite honestly, shout out to Disney. Because the Disney CEO, not Earl Perlmutter, the other guy, I forget who the Disney CEO, he basically said, you know what? First of all, Kevin Feige said, I want Black Panther. Then he went to the Disney CEO who actually makes the decision and said, not only will I give you Black Panther, I recognize the importance of diversity and he's an important character to us. I'm going to give you the budget that you need. So here's your $200-300 million to go make the film. They could have undersell that thing and said, here's only 100 million, 150. I don't think it's going to sell, so I don't want to invest too much in it. They gave him a full budget. You know, Disney,
I think
and when the film came out and did well, Disney put its money behind it. Kevin Feige put money behind it to promote it at the Oscars to make sure to try to make sure it got an Oscar. They didn't have to do that. So shout out to Disney for that.
Well, what I was getting at was that. See, one thing about the black dollar is the black dollar is undefeated.
Oh yeah, we got money. Black people got money.
No, some black people got money. There's a lot of people out here.
Collectively, we're a $1 trillion industry.
Tyler Perry built this studio in Atlanta where they're making Marvel movies now.
All the Marvel
movies. But here's the thing though. He had to go and be his own advocate after selling so many tickets, after putting on that dress and that wig so many times. And he got tired of going to Paramount or whoever it was, or New Line Cinema, and them lowballing him. And he just got tired of this. You know what? I'm going to just do my own studio. So I won't even have to talk to y'all no. And that's what he did. That's the power of the black dollar. So, having said that, Paul, and I know you're a Marvel guy, you're a Black Panther guy. So who's the next big superhero? Who's the next big black superhero? I know y'all say Storm, but
Storm, if done correctly, could be the next. Look, let me tell you something about Storm. If you follow
hold on. Before you say that, hold on, Paul. Before you say that, let me ask you a question about it. You said Storm done correctly. Tell me what. I want you to jump into that loaded question. What is Storm done correctly?
Okay, so
because
let me answer your question. Let me ask you a question. First of all, Storm. If you follow social media, I would argue Storm's popularity is only surpassed just slightly by Black Panther. Just slightly. In some circles, people are stands for Storm more than they are for Black Panther. People don't realize that. Storm has a huge following on the nets. Storm is the queen of the Twitter.
She is.
Storm is Marvel's second most popular black character, only because of the Black Panther movie. She's second. I would say before the movie,
she was 100% number one.
100% number one. That's not even a question. She only got surpassed because Black Panther had a film. That's facts, dude. That's facts. I'll stand on that square. So Storm done right. First of all, my sister needs to be chocolate. No disrespect to my light-skinned sisters. No disrespect to you, Bree.
And no shade taken either.
Look, Storm needs to be chocolate. She's chocolate in the comics. She's never been portrayed that way. We have a history of colorism in this country. It's in our community. We need to move past that, and we need a chocolate sister to represent Storm. Yes.
Do not dilute the melanin.
Cannot dilute that melanin.
Okay. All right. Don't dilute the melanin. We got that part down.
Secondly,
what's the story you tell?
Storm was raised in Africa, between Cairo and Kenya.
But
so she's not going to sound American, huh?
She's not fully African, though.
No, no. I said she was raised.
Okay.
She was raised.
Okay.
In Africa, in Cairo. She was born in New York. She's from Harlem, but she was raised in Cairo and then Kenya. So she should have a bit of an accent. Doesn't have to be super strong, but she should have a bit of an accent to represent the continent. She should be regal, and she sure as hell should not have her powers downplayed to make people not go, well, she's too OP. No.
Can I interject?
Storm is an Omega friggin' level mutant. Omega.
Can I just interject really quickly? You're 100% right thus far, so I'm rooting for you, Paul. Please keep the same energy. However, as it pertains to her powers, not only is she this high-level mutant, she also has magic capabilities.
Oh, don't even get me started.
Can we please? I feel like in order to make
Briana,
her epic main character bad bee energy that she needs to be, if she gets her own vibes, they need to touch on that. They need to.
You're bringing up a topic I didn't want to get into. But now you've opened up the box. I gotta roll with it. So we just watched this episode of Moon Knight, which fascinates me, the show Moon Knight. We just watched this episode of Moon Knight, and Moon Knight introduced the Ennead. It introduced 5 of the 9 major Egyptian gods. Actually, just technically speaking, there's hundreds of Egyptian gods. Hundreds. There's a lot of them. But for purposes of Marvel, there are 9 major Egyptian gods in the Ennead. They introduced 5 of them in this episode. Technically, maybe 7 if you include Khonshu and Ammit. The point I'm trying to make, one of the gods is the god of storms and wind. I forget the name. And this goddess from Egypt, which is not that far from Kenya, I believe to be Storm's predecessor. If you look at the power set and the fact that she's from a long line of priestesses of magic, what's the difference between magic and mutantism and godlike powers and technology? It's all blurred. I think Storm is from that particular goddess, and I'd like to see a story line.
I got a question. All this stuff about powers and looks. What's the story? Because she can have all of that.
I just gave it to you. I just gave it to you.
My point
is, the fact that Storm,
you can have all of that. You can have all of that, and the story still be trash.
Look, you being negative.
So
you being negative.
You are. No. The
okay.
Point, Rich,
the
point is, if you get all of those elements correct, the story can be whatever, because she's had too many different storylines throughout the history of comics. The story can be whatever. If you get all of those other elements correct, it's going to be a flame movie or show. Period.
Absolutely. That same energy they're putting into Moon Knight, put that into Storm and show her background tied to this goddess from Egypt. They're opening that whole thing out.
You literally, to do all of that, in my opinion, this is just me talking. Maybe I'm the devil's advocate with this. You're talking about another 5-10 years, bro.
Stop.
I'm being honest.
No.
Here's the, I'm gonna tell you why.
Okay.
Let me tell you why, Briana. The reason why I say 5 to 10 years is that, one, they haven't even introduced the mutants yet. That's number one. We got to get them in.
They're about to November.
Yes. Where do you think they're going?
Where do you think Namor is coming? Namor is the first mutant.
But yes, Namor is the first mutant. But when are we going to get the X-Men, so to speak? Now, I know the talk is that the Illuminati is going to be...
In 3 weeks, dude. Multiverse of Madness.
Okay.
Are you paying attention, bro?
Well, I tell you what, we're gonna mark this conversation, and when
mark
you don't
it,
see stuff,
write it down, record it, slap it, flip it, rub it down.
I'm probably gonna be in my 60s by the time this Storm movie hits.
Stop. So they're literally setting everything up for it right now. That was to Paul's point about the magical elements and the god elements that they're introducing with Moon Knight, which I'm grateful that you didn't drop too many spoilers, because I'm the type of person where I gotta binge it all together. So I haven't watched nothing because I want to watch it all sitting.
Yeah, the 3rd episode is lit. You're gonna like it, trust me.
I have been ducking and dodging spoilers like nobody's business because I gotta wait to watch it all together. However, just based off of the fact that they're introducing the goddess and god realms for this show, and for upcoming movies. They're setting the stage.
Correct.
They're doing all of this multiverse of madness stuff. And
Correct.
pretty much them introducing this multiverse situation, all bets are off, all parameters are shot to the wind because they can do anything they want just based off of that alone. So the fact that they're doing that and this introduction to mystical, magical elements at the same time, they are priming us. It is the perfect opportunity for them to introduce the epitome of what Storm embodies within the next 2 to 3 years.
Thank you.
2 to 3 years.
Briana gets it. Briana gets it.
Okay.
Magic is coming. Magic is coming.
They're blurring all of the lines.
They're blurring.
And
Briana,
blowing all of the
speak,
boundaries
man.
out of the water.
When I get my first retirement check and we ain't been to the movies yet to see Storm, I'll holler at y'all.
Tamiko says, I already got my ticket to Doctor Strange. It only goes up from there. Look, let me tell you something. I've been saying this for a year now. Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness is the most important film Marvel has ever done. I stand on that square.
I'm so
because
here
it's
for
about
it.
between introducing the concepts of magic, the occult, the dark hold, nightmare, the concepts of the multiverse, which they've been building up for the last few films with, Endgame and Loki, and what we got going on now with the Spider-Man movie. Look, once the multiverse is introduced, it's game over. Because
also the Time Lords and all of that with Loki and all of that.
Right. TVA. Look, it's opening up the world of possibilities for everything. Because when you think about the amount of Marvel characters that come out of the multiverse.
Okay. I hear you.
That's half the roster right there.
I give up. I surrender.
Where do you think my boy Bishop comes from?
I surrender, Paul.
Oh my gosh! Don't make me start fangirling over Bishop.
You're not gonna get. I'm sorry.
Don't even let me talk about when Brother Voodoo comes out in Marvel. Good God! People be like, Doctor Strange, who? Brother Voodoo. That's my dude. When
people
Blade comes out,
on Doctor Strange heavy too.
Watch them drop Brother Voodoo in the Blade movie.
That's my regular joke.
I'm looking forward to
the only white.
I'm looking forward to
superhero that I buy anything about is Doctor Strange, and people need to put some respect on that.
I'm saying that's the most important Marvel movie.
Ooh, Tamiko said, can we talk about? Okay, I know we're kind of off track here, and we haven't even gotten to your books, Paul. But I have to touch on this just because. Shout out to Tamiko, she a real one. Mentioning Kang the Conqueror.
Kang.
All right, can we just talk about? Did y'all all watch Loki? Because I don't want to drop spoilers.
Of course.
All right, obviously, Loki was epic. Loved everything about that show. But can we talk about how our boy already floating off of his epic performance in Lovecraft Country comes through, and how do you give us a series ending episode and all they did was talk around a table and your boy delivered, had us riveted on the edge of our seats, and all he did was walk around his desk and talk to them
and eat an apple.
Thank you. So
look, his scene was so strong. I don't remember the rest of the Loki series.
No, I won't say that.
I remember that episode. I remember that episode and that performance because that episode sums up the entire series for one.
Yeah.
But it was all centered around him. The rest of the episodes are irrelevant. That's the episode you need to watch. He steals the scene, and he's coming back.
He has to.
And he's not going to be the guy that we saw in that episode. He's like, y'all think I'm evil? Shh. Eat my apple. Wait till you see my variants.
I'm just waiting for it. I just give it to me. Inject it directly into my veins. Do you hear me?
Jonathan Majors is about to be a major star.
About
His last
to
name
be,
is apropos.
I don't care. Jonathan Majors.
He about to be in the next Creed
Lakeith
movie.
Stanfield and Daniel Kaluuya. If you put them in anything, I'm gonna watch it. Point blank. Period.
So bitter. Lovecraft Country didn't get a second season.
Oh my god! Did you see that?
Gordon Mahan says yes. Doctor Strange 2 will
that's your
define and set the parameters for all the Marvel films going forward. Thank you,
Facts.
Gordon Mahan. You're absolutely correct.
Facts.
This is a major film coming out in 3
Well,
weeks.
either way, I'll be waiting on the mutants, man. Shout out to
You're
Namor.
about to have Professor Xavier in 3 weeks. You talk about you waiting on the mutants. Okay.
I've already seen Professor Xavier. I didn't see 3, 4, 5 X-Men movies. I've seen Storm, light skinned Storm,
Diet Storm.
Alexandria Shipstorm. Now,
What'd you say,
I will
Briana?
say to
Diet
her
Storm?
point,
I
she
said Diet Storm.
Yes, we've seen Diet Storm. If you look at, shout out to Jerry Duggan, X-Men writer, because what he does with the Storm character, he treats Storm right. He had her terraform the entire friggin' planet. Look,
is he writing X-Men Red?
Every single cover
look,
of
listen to me,
X-Men
bro.
Red with Storm on it.
Jonathan
Every
Hickman
single
redefined the X-Men. Yes, he deserves credit for that. But Jerry Duggan, that dude loves Storm. He had her terraform a planet. He had her made regent of the entire friggin' solar system. In X-Men Red #1, she talks about, I can freeze you, I can burn you, I can adjust the air pressure and bust the capillaries and brain and make you die. There's so many different ways I can drop a fade on you right now. I don't even have to think about it.
You know what?
Which way you want it? Not to mention, by the way, I got blades all over my body. So I'll just pull knives out the hair, out the boots, out the costume, toss them at you. I don't even got to throw my powers in there. I got hands.
Run it.
You know
I
what?
trained with Adora Milaje back when I was married to my old dude. But even
You know
before
what?
that,
Let me tell you.
I had hands.
Well,
Ask the Morlocks Slay Queen and how I got that role. She been a queen 3 times.
It's all right.
She been a queen 3 times. Queen of the Morlocks, Queen of Wakanda,
Rich is
Queen of the
actually
Mutants.
trying to rile me up at this point.
No. Listen. Look.
Look,
I know Storm is nice.
Storm
She's nice,
is
but look,
that
I'm sorry,
superhero.
but no. See, Paul, this is where
What?
I
dare you to say something against Storm. I dare
have
you.
to troll you. I'm fixing to troll you.
Try to troll me. I dare you to try to troll me on Storm.
We talking about the same Storm that put hands on Shuri in Marauders
Look,
13.
we're not talking about
talking
that.
about that Storm?
Look, there's one thing.
This is
Look,
your queen.
bro, you on my show.
This is your
This is
queen.
my show.
The one that
This is not Sunday night. This is
Storm,
Wakanda,
Storm.
whiskey, Blerdom, and bourbon. We do not talk about Marauders 13 on this show. You know that.
See, all she had to do was wait on
You are
the door.
purposely trying to trigger me right now.
You
You know we don't talk
yeah.
about Marauders 13 on this
He
show.
has so much energy coming in here with this slander. Okay.
I'm just saying. Look, you know what?
See,
Shout out to
you're just being
Briana.
spiteful right now. You're being petty and spiteful. I'm all triggered right now. It got me raising my voice, rubbing my head right now.
Same Storm. She put them hands on Shuri.
Chose violence,
Shuri ain't been
okay?
Shuri ain't been the same since.
Look,
Rich woke up and chose violence. And that's okay. I'm gonna let you have your little moment.
I'm just messing.
Look, Briana, you're new to the show. One rule I have on the show: we don't talk about Marauders 13. Okay,
We don't
that
talk
book
about
is dead
Bruno.
to me.
I get
That
it.
book is dead to me. We don't talk about that. That book does not exist. It's a ghost.
Ooh, Rich, I think you met your goal. You touched that nerve, baby.
Hey, I told him I was gonna troll him.
He knows what he's
He got
doing.
to talking real broadly about Storm.
Wait.
Storm got
So
the
I
hands.
need to,
Like,
okay, you're right.
like,
I'm new to the crew, so you gotta give me the backstory on this, because obviously I'm new to comics too, so I don't even know what you're talking about. You gotta give me the teeth.
Now I will say this. My only advice is to go out.
Scott Storms how Storm stunted on him for the leadership of the X-Men without powers. That's right, X-Men 201. Read it. Must don't even need powers to freaking stunt on dudes.
Marauders 13 is a book.
Oh, so you're gonna double down? You're gonna double down and keep talking about it?
I asked him. You gotta give me the tea. All right, so let me just put this disclaimer out there. I will come through. I will. I'm
gonna take a break. Y'all.
That's my God. Listen. Listen. He'll be back. He'll be back.
All right.
No, here's the deal.
After we get okay, because I need the context. So I will come through. Okay. I will catch the vibes. I will talk my garbage. But at the end of the day, I am still a brand new comic. I'm brand new to comics. All right.
Gotcha.
So
no problem.
Yeah. No, so you gotta give me the tea. What's happening?
So what happened is, this is X of Swords was a series that X-Men did, where they had to take certain weapons and fight mutants from, I think it was Araco.
Okay.
Not Araco, but the other planet, or the other island. Araco is the action they fight. It was Krakoa versus Araco, basically.
Okay.
And so Storm had to go to Wakanda to get a sword called the Stormbreaker. All right. Now, when she went there, T'Challa wasn't there. So she's having dinner. Do I need to come in?
Bring Kamiko in. Bring her in. Do it. Paul, come back so you can bring Kamiko on.
Paul will send her the link if you can. I know he's here. So anyway, so basically, she goes and she meets with her former mother-in-law, and Shuri. She explains, T'Challa's not here. He's somewhere in the universe saving the world. Mm-hmm. Storm is like, I got to get this weapon, and I ain't got time to wait. So she gets into it with the King's Guard and Shuri, mm-hmm. and she takes the sword. She basically steals the sword. Now, you got to remember, if you know any of the X-Men stories, she's able to get to Wakanda through one of the gates.
Yeah.
So she gets the sword. Who shows up as soon as she secures the gate? T'Challa. He tells her, go ahead and take it. You did what you did. I mean, she beat the brakes off of Shuri, okay? That's what got Paul kind of...
Okay, that's the piece that I was missing. Okay.
Yeah. So they got into a real fight. And so
I don't like that.
We don't like that because it made T'Challa look kind of weak, and then they had Storm out here looking funny with even though this was supposed to be. We don't like that. It made T'Challa look kind of weak, and then they had Storm out here looking funny. Now, Kamiko, did I say anything wrong? It made T'Challa look kind of weak, and then they had Storm out here looking funny.
Wait a minute now. What's this echo?
Turn it down. Turn the volume down.
Wait a minute now. What's this echo?
You gotta turn the volume down. You got it? Can you hear us?
Okay.
Oh, there she go. All right.
Mute yourself when you're not talking, though, Rich.
I had to come in to let y'all know that you took this one little foray I had to come in to let y'all know. And she took the motherfucking foray into storm slander. Oh. Into storm slander.
Are y'all done with this damn Marauders 13 yet?
I think we're okay. He gave me the context. I just needed the context. I wasn't trying to throw shade, Paul. I just needed to know because I'm a newbie.
Rich is intentionally trolling me and triggering me on my own damn show.
Trolling me and triggering me on my own damn show. I see it all over Tamiko's face. She came to bring the flame.
Look, all you need to know, Briana, that story's trash. We don't talk about it on the show. I love Vita Ayala. She's a great writer, but yeah, not a good story. Disagree with several fronts on that book. So we don't bring it up. Moving on, as our boy Herschel would say. Tamiko, how are you? Moving on.
All is well.
As our boy Herschel would say.
In my corner of the universe.
All right. So to prevent echoes, turn your volumes down. Make sure you don't have the stream playing somewhere else, like on Facebook or something at the same time, because it creates an echo. Let's see. What else do we talk about? All right. So given that we were talking about Storm, we were talking about Black Panther, I'm going to move into my Black Panther story. One of our reads of the week, Black Panther, Volume 8, Number 5. First of all, let's talk about this cover. This cover is an homage to Ultimate Fallout number 4. Now, I like this book. Well, I like John Ridley's writing on this book. Save for how my man T'Challa is being treated. I don't like the dialogue of the colloquial dialogue that's being used, particularly in reference to T'Challa. I don't like the fact that he's being disrespected left and right. I love this cover of this book, Gordon Mahan. I agree with you. This cover is phenomenal by Alex Ross. This was a good issue. This was an exciting issue. We finally had some action, not in a whiz bang kapow type way, but the story moves along with pace. I mean, the best part of John Ridley's writing is that there's no dull, slow moments of lots of exposition. He moves the story along. Like, by the time you get to from the beginning of the first page to the last page, you're craving more because his books read that easily. And that's not to mean that he's leaving stuff out. He packs a lot of stuff in. It's just it's a very fast-paced story. And this is layered because you're dealing with the fact that T'Challa is in a state that you're not used to seeing him in, which is vulnerable and somewhat unraveled. Some would even argue that he's paranoid. You know, there's a fine line between being paranoid and having someone who's used to being 5 steps ahead. So you see a side of T'Challa you've never seen before. He's not used to not having the mantle of power of king and having people just do what he tells him to do. He doesn't have that. He has to literally this is the most lonely he's ever been. He can't even talk to Storm about what he's going through because he's his actions of running his his sleeper program puts him at odds with her as well. So this is the most lonely T'Challa and vulnerable T'Challa we've ever seen. So I recognize that. And you've got this character full of Sunday who is trying to usurp his power. Gordon Mahan says, I hear you regarding the dialogue directed to T'Challa, but it fits the story that John is telling. T'Challa is being called out for the things he has done. I agree. I mean, I was the strongest, person against the way T'Challa was being spoken to, but it fits the story of what's going on. He has fallen out of favor with his people. And remember, and this book pointed out something I forgot, that T'Challa was gone for a long time. Like that whole Ta-Nehisi Coates run where he was gone in the intergalactic realm of Wakanda, that was not a short period of time. I mean, if it wasn't at least a year, it was definitely several months. And so you're at a point where, T'Challa, and if you recall, if you want to know what happened to Wakanda during that time, you need to read the Shuri run, the book Shuri. Because T'Challa disappeared, nobody knew where he was. He was gone for probably at least a year. And a council was put together and said, look, we don't have a king. And Shuri doesn't want to be the new queen. She literally turned it down. She's like, I tried. I was a queen before. I don't want it again. My last time I was queen, I ended up dying. Don't want to do that again. Not interested in being the new Black Panther and the new queen of Wakanda again. So they said, well, how about we compromise? Let's do a parliamentary government of the tribes, and you'll also be sort of the figurehead because Wakanda always needs a figurehead. So when T'Challa finally came back as Emperor of Wakanda, of the intergalactic realm of Wakanda, the people are looking at him like, so you've been gone for a year, doing God knows whatever, but now you're emperor of some other people, where we're over here without a leader for over a year, and you're doing other stuff with other people. So we've now established our own government without you, so screw you. We don't care about you. You can stick around and claim your king or whatever. We won't kick you out of the house, but we're going to do our own thing now. That's where T'Challa is. And I'd forgotten that nuance of what's going on. And that's what this story points out. The big disappointment in this particular issue was this is the first time we've seen Tosin Adoye, the new Wakandan hero warrior, since his introduction in issue number 3. And he was on 2 panels and he said nothing. That was a big disappointment. We do know from his introduction in issue number 3 that he is involved, flash forward into the future, with the what's going to happen probably the next couple issues, where T'Challa's on the run and the Hatus Zoraze are going after him, and he's going to be involved in that. So I would suspect the next issue should be a big Tosin issue and a sleeper, because it's not listed and solicit. So make sure you pick up the next issue. So that's my review of Black Panther number 5. You guys still there? I bored the hell out of you, didn't you? Was everybody muted?
You did, yeah. We muted, trying to make sure we weren't echoing. But no, you didn't bore anybody. Yeah, I copped a different cover though.
Which one did you get?
Oh, you can't see me from the thing, but yeah.
Go ahead, put it up again. Oh, that's the Greg Land cover. Yes.
Yeah, I got this one, and then I got the Spider-Man one too.
Yeah, you got to get that Boss Logic Spider-Man one.
I literally had just picked mine up, so they're still in the bag. I haven't bagged and boarded them yet, so back in the bag it goes.
No,
Nico, you've been on vacation. You read any books while you're on vacation?
Oh, I have a pile sitting right over here, and there's a whole bunch heading towards my house, and I should be home before I get them. But the thing with the Black Panther is he has a dichotomy within him. He wants to be an adventurer. He wants to go out. He doesn't really want to be stuck at home,
Right.
losing everybody. So what you may see as disrespect and a lot of things is just now people are finally able to say to his face, look, you too busy gallivanting with all them other heroes instead of taking care of home. So now that we're taking care of home, please don't get involved and do that. Just come when we call you, basically. And T'Challa now is facing the backlash for that,
Mm-hmm.
especially with all the other things he had put into place that nobody knows about. And now everything is being stripped away and is coming to the light.
Yeah.
So
I like the phrase that you used there. Everything's being stripped away, because the end of this issue, you see T'Challa stripped of his garb and his mantle and his position, in essence becoming a fugitive with no resources that he has. One of the things that pops up on this page all the time, and these debates I get with Herschel all the time, who hates Black Panther, is, Herschel's like, always trolling me. Oh, I like Black Panther back in the 70s when all he had was a cotton T-shirt and a cotton pants, and he used to get his ass kicked all the time. That's my favorite version of T'Challa before he had the vibranium suit. So this is what we have. I mean, we have a stripped down T'Challa, no technology, no super suit, no vibranium, no wealth, no power, no status, no soldiers behind him. It's him against the world. And what can he do with that? Shuri says, it's my brother. He gonna be all right. Mm-hmm. And that's why he's my man.
Yeah, he has resources. He's not completely stripped of everything.
T'Challa's superpower is not the heart-shaped herb going through his veins. His superpower is not his vibranium suit. His superpower is not his $1 trillion wealth of making him the richest man in Marvel. His superpower is his mind. And that's why he's my favorite superhero. Mm-hmm. And Gordon agrees with me.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so what else we got? Oh, we got 2 more books to talk about. Just real briefly, probably one of the most important books to drop this week for a change, finally, after 12 issues. Green Lantern number 12. Now, if you've watched this show or heard me do any lives, you know how I feel about John Stewart. This is, I mean, when you think about who are the 3 most popular, most important Black superheroes at DC, I really think John Stewart's got to be in the top 3. Whether it's John Stewart, Cyborg, Black Lightning, whatever, he's in the top 3, definitely. Most important Black superheroes at DC. And yet, too often with our Black superheroes, they're known by their names rather than the superhero names because they tend to be legacy characters. You know, we know John Stewart as John Stewart, not Green Lantern. We know Sojourner Mullen as Sojourner Mullen, not Green Lantern. We know Riri Williams as Riri Williams, not Ironheart. We know Miles Morales as Miles Morales, not Spider-Man. Our characters don't get to have their own superhero mantles. This is the opportunity John Stewart finally has to rid himself of the Hal Jordan legacy and be his own man. To be, as the cover says here, the Emerald Knight. We already know from reading the previous issues that he got a major power-up. He has gone through the Ascension, does not require a Green Lantern ring. If you look at his fist in this picture, no rings on his hands. No ring there, no ring there. No Green Lantern symbol on his chest. Doesn't need it. Rest of the Green Lantern Corps behind them still got the Green Lantern symbols. They still got the rings. There's Hal Jordan. There's Sergeant Muller. And there's Team Lantern over there. But my man in the forefront, he got nothing. Doesn't need it. He's down the Emerald Knight. I hope it sticks, and I hope they allow this to be the status quo for John Stewart. Important book. Big historic moment for DC, finally. Overdue. Cody says, by the power of shea butter and black soap, I have arrived. Okay. You guys are mad silent. What are you all muted?
Yes.
Somebody say something to me.
I'm all for it because John Stewart has always been my favorite Lantern. So what I'm kind of bothered by is the fact that they're going to take him into the Justice League and kill him off.
Yeah, he's about to die in 2 weeks.
It's ridiculous to me because I'm sitting there thinking, Hal is right there. Take Hal. Take him.
Now, I don't know when this Death of Justice League storyline takes place. Is it supposed to take place after his ascension or before it? They're really unclear on that point. But real important book. I just thought it was important to mention that. I really want to get into, while we have the time remaining here, to talk about the book that Rich wanted to talk about, the Imperium. Rich.
Yeah, he wanted to talk about Infinitum.
Infinite. Did I say Imperium? Yes, Infinitum. Yeah. Is he there? Rich, can you hear us? Is he using sign language?
You are muted, sir.
You gotta unmute yourself, Rich. There you go.
Yeah. Infinitum is probably one of the most important books that I read of recent memory. Author is Tim Fielder. And, it's Afrofuturism at its finest. I think that over the course of time, it'll prove to be a landmark book. And one of the reasons why I feel about it like that is because Tim Fielder takes a character and in essence makes him immortal, even though he's not immortal. And we get to see this person live over 150,000 years. And his whole journey in terms of what is life like when you live or outlive everybody. What's life like when you detach from everybody? What's life like when you're just happy to feel something, even if it's chains? It was an amazing story. I do think that Tim Fielder, I don't know if he's going to do anything else with the character, but I mean, he literally could turn that one character into a universe. Just different stories he could tell. And so what I'm glad about it is that he gave us a lot of stuff in terms of Afrocentric viewpoint, you know what I'm saying? And, what the future looks like with Black people in it. I think that's the essence of Afrofuturism. What does life look like with Black people in the future? So it was a great read. I enjoyed it. I think it's a masterpiece. And it goes without saying, it's an important book. I think it's something that every collector should have. We talk all the time about problems that Marvel and DC have with their characters. Infinitum kind of addresses some of that. I remember Imani interviewing Tim Field talking about it, and he felt that a lot of the things that the character does in Infinitum, he wishes that they would do with Black Panther. It's like if Black Panther was free of the Marvel universe, this is what he could be or should be. And like I said, it goes without saying. To me, it's a book that everybody should read. You know what I'm saying? You could talk about it, but it's really a book to be experienced, which is, I think the coolest thing about it. It's an experience, and I recommend it 100%.
Yeah, I agree. This is one of those books that you could literally break down and center a college course about. You have the story of this king Aja Obo, who is a warlord king in ancient Africa when Africa was at its peak in terms of the African dynasties, unconquered Africa, thousands of years ago. He's married to his queen, Liwa, or I believe her name is, or Lena, something like that. And they're unable to have a child. So he impregnates one of his concubines, who's a sorcerer, Obanade, and takes the child away as his heir. As he's taking the child away from this sorceress, she curses him and says, "You shall live in infinity or forever or a long life where everyone that you know and love will die." And then he quickly beheads her. But lo and behold, he determines that he's immortal. He cannot die. If he dies, he will be reincarnated at some point. So you see this man go throughout history from ancient Africa. You see him become a warlord and conquer lands and have children, have loves over and over, and watch them age and day. Have him go through the Middle Passage. Have him become a soldier for hundreds of years in various wars. Have him become a brilliant scientist and an entrepreneur and industrial giant. Have him go out into space. Have him become a scientist. Have him become an explorer. Have him become a colonizer himself. The entire span of human history and endeavor is exemplified in this book. I'm not exaggerating on that point. That's not even figurative. The entire history of human endeavor is summarized in this book. You want to talk about capitalism, you want to talk about racism, you want to talk about classism, you want to talk about colonization. It's all in this book. I know it sounds incredible to hear that, but it's literally all in this book. This is like one of the most phenomenal reads. I can't encourage it. People get this book and read this book enough. This is it. As I read it, as I read it, I still am unpacking it in my mind, and I probably need to read it once or twice again to really sort of get the full effect of everything. But it's an incredible book. I highly recommend this book, Infinitum by Tim Fielder. Great pick, Rich.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Cody S says, thanks, I'll go look it up.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I mean, and here's the thing. It's for comic heads, this is not a comic book. This is a graphic novel.
Very much so.
It's about 250 pages or whatever it is. Good luck trying to sit down and read it in one setting.
It's like a time capsule, but in vignettes. So like
yes,
you get time capsules and vignettes, but it's like a full sturdy thing. Like, and that I could ascertain that just from off flip. I was talking with Paul and Rich about this before we hopped on, because I got the publisher sent me a copy of this and it was dope, but I've seen the author speak about the book several times, and just hadn't gotten to it. But you can see, just like I said, off flip, it's legit a time capsule into the future, but in vignettes.
Yeah. And the
The art
past.
in here is stunning.
In the past too, because it kind of starts off in ancient times, almost borderline prehistory, and then goes so far into the future to the end of time. It's just I've never experienced a story like this before. I can honestly say that, and I'm a sci-fi guy. I've never had a story like this before. It's original, and it's fresh, and it's thought-provoking, and it's multi-layered. I really can't say enough about it.
And the art in the book is pretty nice as well.
Reminds me of Marc Texiera.
Yeah, beautiful, very lush. Some of the pictures are, if you just look at them, it'll make you cry. It's like I say, it's an experience. And when I first heard Amani talk about it, usually when people talk about something, they tell you that it's good. It's usually not as good as people make it, and it's usually not as bad as some people may even say. But this was spot on.
Yeah.
Probably the best book I read this year. And I've read a lot of books, a lot of comic books, a lot of graphic novels, a lot of regular books. But this definitely stuck out. I mean, normally this would have taken me a month to read. And I read this book in probably less than a week. And I probably will have to read it. Well, I'm not, probably to it. I'm probably going to read it 2 or 3 more times or whatever before I actually set it on the shelf and it just collects dust. But I got so much out of it just in the setting to where my mind was blown, and I'm a story guy. And for me, if a guy can entertain me, with a story, I'm hooked. And I was hooked. I can't say enough about it. I mean, it's whew. I don't know what the Blerd community, how they really feel about it. I mean, the book has been out a while.
Yeah.
And
came out last year.
Yeah. The book's been out a while. And so it's one of those things. I think that it's probably starting to really, gain some steam. So shout out to Amani Latif, man, for putting me up on that book. I definitely appreciate it, because I would not want to not have that in my collection,
Yeah.
John Jennings, when he did Parable of the Sower and Kendrick, he took Octavia Butler's writings and put them in a graphic novel.
Mm-hmm. And there are elements of those books in this book.
Yeah, absolutely. And so when you think about Afrofuturism or whatever, as a concept itself, I mean, it's very, very subjective, but very complex as well. That's one of the reasons why, when he talked about in the book, when he talked about slavery, how he was just happy to feel something. Even pain was a blessing to him. How do we feel as Black people who are the children of former slaves can say that? We can't, but this guy is immortal. And so I've always thought that to be a vampire or to be immortal is tragic, in the sense if you confined to this existence without any change, and of course I don't want to give the book away, but there's a point where he literally becomes a statue, and you know
You're
he
saying too
rests
much.
there for.
You're saying too much.
But I mean, but here's the thing, though. One of the things about it, though, he talked about the Olmecs. You know what the Olmecs are, right? Those big,
Yeah, I mean,
those big heads.
Boy,
There's so much history in this book.
There's so much to unpack in this book. I mean, the very concept that Africans traveled the world prior to what our history records them as doing. The fact that we have pyramids in Egypt and we have pyramids in Central and South America, and the statues virtually look identical. How does that happen? Just by happenstance? Why is it that you have statues in Central and South America with African features? Why is it that we have pyramids there as well? You know, all this is addressed in Professor Ivan van Sertima's book, They're Here Before Columbus. But this book touches upon that and recognizes the fact that Africans crossed the sea way before Columbus, and the ties that were established as a result. This book is just so damn deep. I mean, there's just, I really can't say enough. There's so much in it. There's so much in it. You could literally teach an entire course on this book. Incredible.
You know, shout out to Tim Fielder. You know, hopefully at some point we'll cross paths and we'll be able to chop it up with it. But yeah, man.
Cody asked a good question. How important is the theme of Afrofuturism in comic books today, in your opinion? That's a very good question.
Oh, I would say John Jennings. I watched a discussion between him and Nalo Hopkinson about Afrofuturism, and he had a quote, and it was so epic. I'm trying to remember it word for word, but paraphrasing, he was pretty much saying, like, Afrofuturism has its place and its designated importance because there's an overarching theme of hope. If you can envision the African American experience or the Black experience in the future, then you can get past your current experience. So I would say its importance is unparalleled. You can't put a measure on that, because a lot of us, we read because that's our escapism. That's our means of searching for hope or clinging to hope. So you can't I guess put a measure on the importance of Afrofuturism in comic books or in stories in general.
Well said. Well said. We interviewed John Jennings like a month or so ago, and we talked a little bit about that topic. One of the things that he points out, the concept of Afrofuturism is really sort of seeing Black people from the African diaspora in the future with some agency on their own future, meaning that you have a say in that future, more so than what we have today. You know, I'm a big sci-fi head. You know, I remember as a kid watching episodes of Star Trek and Battlestar Galactica with my dad. You know, and the reason I got into those particular shows is because you had representation of Black people in the future where race wasn't an issue. They're just doing their thing on equal footing as everyone else, and race wasn't an issue. That's an important thing for kids to see. Like, they don't have to sit there and worry about, you know, people judging them based on the color of their skin. In the future, that's not an issue. You're just involved in the outcome of existence on the merit of who you are. And then taking it a step forward, and that's just basic sci-fi with Blacks in it. But then Afrofuturism is taking it a step further, in which that future is informed on your heritage, your African heritage. That's huge, because much of our history and heritage has been lost to us individually and collectively as part of this diaspora. And having some recognition and of the importance of the history that preceded slavery, that was interrupted by slavery, and seeing the significance of how important that was for our future and the role it can play. I think that's a big thing for kids to see, for people to see.
I think that when it comes to, you talk about comics, I think in my honest opinion, I think that if and when Afrofuturism really takes off, comics will be different. The truth of the matter is, we talk extensively about the Intergalactic Republic of Wakandas by Ta-Nehisi Coates.
Yeah,
and
I'm glad
you said it,
brought
I've said it, that the future, or with time will be very kind to Coates' run, because it's really ahead of its time.
Yep.
And so it's the first iteration in comics. And so the question is, where do we go from here? The question is, where do comics go from here? Because Coates kind of has drawn the line. And while we're all entertained by John Ridley's writings at this point, overall, Afrofuturism is the future. And where does that put a character, say, like Falcon or Captain America? Where does that put him? He becomes almost a relic. He becomes a non-factor. Black Lightning is a character that came out in the 70s, who is unfortunately, I would say, because of the writing, outdated. He has an upgrade in his power. His power is lightning. His power is cosmic. And yet he's written like he's a 1980s character. That character probably died. And I just think that what we're looking at, kind of to your point, Briana, in terms of what you shared with us tonight, that's probably the future. It's not a floppy. We love our floppies. Me, Tamiko, and Paul, we have long boxes full of floppies, but we're not crazy enough to know that, you know what, this is going to go on for another 20 years. It's not. Right. I think that if comics are going to be relative, then those stories have to reflect what the future is. And right now, good luck with that. Because you could give me Tim Fielder. If this is what you're going to give me for the future, I'll put these long boxes away. And I'll go after that all day. I am so serious. It was that good. And when John Jennings did the Parable in the Soul and he did Kindred, I said to myself when I first read those books, this is what Octavia Butler saw before there was such a thing as a graphic novel.
Yeah. Because
you could go and read her books, and he was able to take her writings and put them to be seen. Because most Black people don't know nothing about Octavia Butler. And she is the queen, godmother of Afrofuturism and science fiction. There is no other.
Here's a question we can all chime in on. Cody says, are there any comic books you feel that actually captures what Afrofuturism really is and that makes sense? I can tell you off rip on the stands right now, You've got New Masters.
New Masters.
You've got Land of the Living Gods.
Yes.
I previously mentioned We Are Titans. That's just 3 off the top of my head that's on stands right now.
But if we're going to be like real technical about it, though, you can't.
That's
really,
right. The one that just came out, Breakout.
You can't really define what. This is one of the most
Buckhead
things about the genre. You can't really define what Afrofuturism is, because if you think about it, like, the concept of Afrofuturism is how we see ourselves in the future, or what our culture looks like in the future, right? Who can really say they've been able to pinpoint what Black culture has done for just pop culture or culture in general? It's not something that you can predict. That's what makes it cool. That's why people want to, take advantage of it or try to implement it in their own ways or whatever. That's what's so dope about Afrofuturism. Nobody can really pinpoint and tell you what it's supposed to look like, because we are the trendsetters, we are the mood makers, we are the people who influence what the future experience of cool or with it or whatever is supposed to be. It's something that our evolution just naturally creates, and it hasn't been topped yet. It's just something that we do. We just naturally are that people. That's how we come across. To beat, call it whatever you like. That's just how we present ourselves. So there's no wrong or right way to represent Afrofuturism, because literally the definition of it is whatever future we make for ourselves, and just bringing our experience along with it. So it's a great question if you're like looking for like, oh, what are some great ways to like visualize it? Who do you think is giving a good kind of representation of what it could be? That question makes more sense. But like, there's no way to pinpoint exactly what Afrofuturism is supposed to look like. Your own interpretation could be worlds away from mine and be closer to the truth, just because that's your own experience. Like, one of my book club members was messaging me about the difference between Afrofuturism versus African futurism, because that's like a big thing in the bookish community. Like, that's why I made the comment about Afrofuturism in comics. It's not as big in comics as of yet, but it's making a huge imprint on the literary world just in general. Like, I'm a sci-fi fantasy head just in every medium. So comics is a new medium for me, but just in general, like your average sci-fi fantasy novel, not necessarily graphic, but novel, is indicating like, all right, this is how we envision ourselves in the future. This is the future we're making for ourselves. This is the epitome of hope for us 100 to 20 years to 100 years from now. So it's kind of a wobbly question, and I like that it is, because no one interpretation is correct. Like, you're not going to pinpoint us in how we're going to make the trend or how we're going to change the world moving forward.
Gordon Mahon says Afrofuturism is very important. It allows us to use our varied voices to define how we envision our future based on the values and traditions of our past.
Yep.
I tell you, the most important Afrofuturism character for me, of course, I'm going to say is Black Panther, because and it's not because about him per se. It's the concept of Wakanda. You've got the ultimate what if. I think that's what appeals to so many people, particularly casuals, about the concept of Wakanda. What if we weren't conquered? What if we weren't enslaved? What if our history was allowed to continue uninterrupted by European and Persian and Arabian influenced invasion? Where would we be at this point if we were allowed to evolve along the lines of where we had started? That's the ultimate what if. So when Ta-Nehisi Coates took it a step further, taking that advanced society and said, well, what if they were allowed to take the next logical course and go out into space and make first contact with aliens and start an entire black planet? right? He made a Public Enemy back in the day released an album called Fear of a Black Planet. That's what he did. And I stand on that square. He's going to be recognized as doing something really huge with that run. Cody says, wait, hold on, I'm writing these titles down. Can you repeat them? Land of the Living Gods, New Masters, Buckhead was pretty good, although arguably that may not be Afrofuturism because it doesn't really take place in the future per se. Those are the top ones. We Are Titans. What?
No, I was going to say, I think that that's the key point, or one of the key components about Afrofuturism. It doesn't necessarily have to reflect the quote unquote future. It could be just, I would say, from an aspirational standpoint. Because some of these stories take place in post-apocalyptic settings. Some of these stories take place in some different weird things. I mean, if you look at, say, the guy that's doing Monkey Meat, it's not Afrofuturism, Juniba. It's not Afrofuturism, but it's an African writer or creator giving us a unique perspective on how to see certain things. Now, from what I understand, I've only read like the first 2 issues. They're like different volumes. The stories are not related. They're separate, different stories. And so, telling stories where the future's not quote unquote always set. I think that one of the cool things about, I keep bringing up Octavia Butler, but she was able to take a concept like slavery and tell a science fiction story in it. John Jennings talks a lot about travel, time travel, things of that nature. There's a book that I have called Captain Black Man, and it's a book basically about a guy who, for whatever reason, he transports the different wars in different times. He just kind of bounces or whatever. I think that's, not I wouldn't say a metaphor or analogy, but that's kind of how our lives are as African people all over this planet. We're not the same, but we can find ourselves in different places together.
So Cody says, Cody says, so Afrofuturism has no true identity. Is that what you're saying?
What I'm saying is Afrofuturism's identity cannot be defined in any one way, because to Rich's point, it's not necessarily about, Black people in the future solely. It's about the audacity of Black optimism, if that makes any sense.
And that we belong in the future.
Exactly. So,
right.
But the future could be next, a story set next week where Black people are taking control of their own agency and their experience.
Yeah, I mean, I think that last part, that last part's the most important thing, right? I mean, it's really, can we visualize a future where who we are allows us to take control of that, define ourselves in the future, unfettered, right? That's really what it is. It's us defining our own existence, unfettered and unencumbered.
Yeah.
That's really what Afrofuturism is.
That I will say that to the end of time, and like you
that's
said,
probably the best,
square, the
most general definition you can give.
The audacity of Black optimism.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
Gordon Mahan says, I enjoy Nde Okafor's African Futurism. She is a great writer. Ricky Tomlin says Image Comics had East West. And then Cody says, doesn't Image Comics have Bitter Root? Is that considered Afrofuturism? Huh. Is Bitter Root considered Afrofuturism?
That's an interesting concept, because Bitter Root is like
steampunk.
And yeah, it's giving steampunk, but I would argue that it could potentially be classified as Afrofuturism in the sense that what we were just talking about, they're taking agency of their own experience. Bitter Root is a bad book.
Yeah.
I'm gonna tell you that. all three volumes have slapped of Bitterroot, in the sense that it's turning the construct of racism on its head and giving it these fantastical elements. So yeah, I would argue Bitterroot I would consider Bitterroot Afrofuturism for sure.
Yeah, I agree.
You know, Sun Ra, the musician, you know, back in the 40s, started doing quote unquote Afrofuturism on a music scale. You know, this is a guy from Alabama, okay? But he felt like a Sun Ra. He felt like he came here from another planet, or he came here from another place. And the whole point was being able to see yourself somewhere else, or determining your own future, so to speak. Because he would say things like space is the place. Like if you can't see yourself there, if you don't speak it, or if you don't really aspire to it, it's hard for you to even think about being there if you can't even conceptualize it in your mind. You know, Black people are not supposed to be have that audacity, you know, but we continue to do so. Our history, you know, has dictated that we have that. We have that stubborn hope. You know.
Thanks for breaking it down, Rich. Cody says he now understands. And with that, I think we've been on here for 2 hours and 2.25 hours.
Hold on, bro. We got one more thing to talk about.
What else do we have to talk about?
Atlanta.
Was there another episode after the reparations episode?
Yeah, just came out. Yeah.
I haven't watched it yet.
That one wasn't as good, but it was still good. But
all right. So Briana, Tamiko, did you guys watch the Atlanta reparations episode?
I have not. I plan to watch it after we talked about it, but I haven't had the opportunity. However, the memes based off of this episode abound. So I'm like, I know they're touching on nerves. The good white people are very upset.
Let me tell you something.
I will say this.
And it's such a departure from the previous seasons. I'm like, what am I walking into here? So you guys,
this season has nothing to do with the prior seasons. It has nothing to do with it. This season's an anthology season. Donald Glover said he's an aspiring short film maker, short order film. So that's how he's approaching this season, is that every episode is basically a short film. And in fact, the cast, the regular Atlanta cast, has only been in what? One episode of the season so far? Really? Maybe
they was in the one that
they're in the London episode. I don't remember anything else beyond that. So did you guys see the show Watchmen on HBO?
Mm-hmm.
And you saw how they basically dealt with reparations in that show, where reparations was a real thing. So in this episode, just to give you some background without any spoilers, a Black person successfully traces their DNA to their slave owner, whatever, plantation owner guy, successfully traces their DNA and successfully sues that person for millions of dollars. You owe me $3 million because your great-great-granddaddy owned my great-great-granddaddy, and you've set my whole family back generations. And it becomes a snowball effect where you have lawyers advertising, are you Black? Was your great-granddaddy a slave? Call us today because we'll test your DNA, find out who owes you money. call 1-800 slap a white dude. I mean, it's like something like that. And so the white people are going crazy. Like, can you believe that they're doing this? Like, we had no part in that. It's not fair. And the black people are in the corner. They're laughing like, high five, yeah. I'm about to get that benzo. You know, it's what I liked about the episode, and I'm not going to give anything away about it, but what I liked about the episode was you got to ask yourself, if Joe Biden were to announce tomorrow, I'm giving reparations to black folk in America. Now, here's the thing. Despite how you feel, I mean, it's not about politics. It's just, let's think about this pragmatically.
Mm-hmm.
If they really were truly trying to do reparations, put a dollar value on that. First of all, how the hell do you calculate that? It's difficult, right? So how do you calculate how much the reparations would be? Now, I'm an attorney, and so I view it from a different analytical perspective. When you enter into a settlement with someone, right? You say, in exchange for X amount of dollars, you're going to sign a document saying that I'm no longer responsible for any further stuff. You're waiving your right to sue me in the future for any other things, because it's a settlement. You're going to get this money. It's like a divorce. You get your check, I get my release. The two of us go our separate ways. We never talk to each other again. Right? All right. So you enter into a settlement with the guy who's descendant of the great granddaddy who owned your great granddaddy. And you get, let's just say, for an example, $20 million. Okay? But as a result of that $20 million, per government policy, you've now gotten your reparations for slavery, for racism, right? For, in essence, racism. You have $20 million. You've signed a release saying you waive your right to make any further claims about racism because you've gotten your reparations. This is your payment. You can't sue or bring up the quote-unquote race card in the future as a result. But you've got your $20 million. Does racism go away? Do the vestiges of slavery go away? Does the ramifications of slavery go away because you have your $20 million? I'll answer that question for you. Ask any NBA player who's been pulled over by the police if their $20 million in the bank precludes them from racism.
It definitely doesn't. If anything, it would worsen the racism because now you got all these people big butt hurt.
What do you call an African American who's got their 20 million? What does a racist call a African American who has their $20 million their $20 million reparations check? Nigga.
The N-word.
Exactly. Racism doesn't go away because you have a reparations check. It just gives you a nicer house. But it doesn't change the hearts and minds of those people who still kind of own the reins of power. True reparations really can't simply be a check, is the problem.
But it's a damn good start.
It's a good start, but it's not the end, because then you're just going to have a bunch of rich people. Does that equate to you owning? Here's the thing. Here's why it's faulty as a system. Here's why it's faulty as a concept. This country was founded on racism, right? It was founded 3/5 a man. It's well documented in the Constitution, right? I mean, founding fathers were building the country to protect rich land-owning gentry. That's the United States. That's the history of the United States. So that's your foundation. That's what our system is geared towards. If you're rich, you can pay your way through a lot of the problems. But that doesn't being rich doesn't necessarily grant you the power to get out of everything, is kind of my point.
I will say this. It may not get you out of it but it pulls you up at a different light.
100%.
In life.
And if we're going to be technical about it, if you're getting reparations and that, you know, nullifies any future claims you can make, it's going to just be against the immediate people that you sued. That's not the government in entirety. You're talking about
Briana, that's the point.
Exactly.
That's the point.
There you go.
That's the point. That's the episode's point.
Yeah.
Because this lady who's suing this white dude in this episode isn't asking for 20 million or more. She's like, I want my $3 million. He's like, lady, I'm going through divorce. I live in a 1-bedroom apartment. I don't have $3 million, even if you win. I don't care. You owe me $3 million. $3 million isn't all that much money. Right? That's not like, you know, generational wealth money. It's a nice house. You might not have to work for a while.
I'm in California. It's an I house.
That's an average house, probably California. I mean, you know, in Florida, you could probably get a really nice house, but then you got to, like, you know, live. Yeah. So,
I mean, you know,
if you traced your great-great-great-granddaddy's great-great-great-granddaddy owner, he may be some redneck Bo Diddley guy who has a pickup truck and a trailer.
Who's barely living above water himself.
That's the thing about the episode, that it satirizes. No, it is a satire of what really could happen. This is the truth. If reparations was to take place, this is something that everybody who pays taxes would have to dive into. This would hit everybody.
You can't legally do that.
Why not?
Because
the people in
you have to tie to those people that were the transgressors.
People in Germany.
But the government.
The people in Germany paid reparations to the Jews for years. They're still paying reparations.
Yeah.
The people that were put in concentration camps in this country were paid reparations.
Help the children. Y'all.
But that's because it came from the government. So the reparations can't come from individuals. That's how the episode's faulty.
Hold on, Paul.
Yeah.
Here is the whole thing.
The joke was placed on that. They wouldn't dare actually do an episode based off of anyone's actual plans for reparations from the government. That's where the satire falls in. We're going to make light of this situation based on a flawed model.
Yeah.
And that's what's going to make it hilarious.
The reparations would, in essence, have to be an acknowledgement by the U.S. government that it was founded on racism, and that this country was founded on the backs and labors of
founded on
slavery.
Racism. Using the wrong
people.
Word, bro.
What?
The word shadows slavery, not racism.
I said slavery.
They're racist since the beginning of time. When man first looked at another dude,
right now,
there was a prejudice there.
I disagree 100%. Racism is not since the beginning of time. Racism is actually a fairly recent concept.
Lord have mercy. Boy, if you know racism,
Lord of mercy, prove me wrong. Lord of mercy. How was racism since the beginning of time?
You want to put chapter and verse?
Please. Racism was not in existence 10,000 years ago.
You're looking at this iteration. Here's the thing. You're right. You're right. I
agree with you. I'm looking at, when I say racism, I'm talking about the American racism that has to do with black people and using it as part of the economic system.
But they were not. Listen, white folks were not looking for niggers to fill the land. They were looking for slave labor. That slave labor started with the Native Americans. They could not stand up to the work. So they went to Africa and got the Africans out of Africa, transported them to this part of the world, the Caribbean, Americas, and that's where your chattel slavery came from.
Well, I disagree with the concept that they couldn't stand up to the work.
The racism
The Europeans,
that you're talking about,
the Europeans' diseases kind of killed them off because they were not necessarily the cleanliness of people.
I would just say this though: be that as it may, you can't unring a bell. They went and got a bunch of Africans.
Yeah. Look, Rich, I don't disagree with you. When I was referring to racism, I'm talking about that racism over the last few hundred years. I'm not talking about the concept of racism over the course of humanity, because that's a completely different thing. Because
racism
did not thousands of years ago is a
slavery.
completely different concept.
The racism that we're talking about did not start before slavery. This was the result after slavery.
No, I agree. I agree 100%.
I feel like you guys are saying the same thing.
We absolutely are, Briana. We absolutely are.
Anyway,
come on, Black.
You said racism throughout all of human history, and I was like, that's not the same racism.
Come on, coming in hot, Black comic lords.
I don't. I mean, he gets triggered by.
This is way too heated for my Friday night happy hour. This is like a Sunday show. This happens when Rich comes on.
What is everybody sipping on? I was like, you know what?
Fiji.
What is it? Is that water? Tamiko, is that water?
I'm gonna be
Yes.
the only woman, but here comes Tamiko coming through for the women out here. But I was like, I'm gonna be the only girl on here.
I got some
girliest
single malt scotch.
wine, the girliest beer I can find, and this one has a pink unicorn on it, so I went for that.
Oh.
It is 14 Hands Winery Unicorn Rosé with bubbles.
Hey.
What you drinking, Rich? Okay, Tamiko came through with the nectar of life, drinking her water.
Tamiko's like, look, first of all, I'm like calling Tamiko out. Tamiko, you're drinking water. She's like, no, I'm drinking Fiji water. It's not tap. It's not tap, boo boo.
Yes. What you got, Rich?
Tamiko's like, I got Fiji water. This is not tap.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a classy lady.
In a pretty blue glass, yes.
That's absolutely. You go with yourself, Tamiko.
What you sipping on, Paul?
Glenlivet 12 single malt scotch.
You should watch them on Friday night. They after 2.5 hours, they be hammered. Him and Marc, they be talking about Flash Gordon, everything. It'd be hilarious.
We like to refer to it as free-form blurddom.
See, I'm the lightweight of all lightweights, on top of the fact that I only have one kidney because I'm a donor. So yeah, that's about as far as we go with the unicorn.
Shout out to you for making the ultimate act of selfishness.
Mm-hmm.
It was my cousin, so I don't even view it in that way. But I appreciate your kind words nonetheless. But yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So we stick with the unicorn.
No, see, no. You can downplay that, but you are a hero.
Yes, you are.
Mm-hmm.
You know this. So
not all heroes wear capes, Briana. Shout out to you.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks, guys.
Because I'll be honest, somebody asking me for my kidney, I'll be like, how much you got?
I'd be like, well, I mean, can I keep this on one kidney? I mean,
oh, you could keep it. You would just be out here all the way twisted. We would not have made it through this live.
Well, look, thank you all so much for being on the show with me. Not making sure I'm not here all lonely, talking and rambling by myself. Like a lonely dude, being that dude on a Friday night. I appreciate that.
Well, I appreciate you having
me.
I hope you'll bring me back.
Briana, you are invited anytime you want. You just holla at me. Say, hey, like Tamiko just did. Let me on. I'm on vacation. I don't care. Let me on.
I mean, I don't know why y'all was playing. We should have had Tamiko on from the jump.
I thought Tamiko was like on an island somewhere. She said she was on vacation.
No, I'm in my mama's house in South Carolina. I was trying to be
Same thing.
cool, but then Rich started in talking about my Hadari Yao, and I wasn't with that. Mm-mm.
You
I didn't
know,
like
you
that
know.
one bit.
Rich needs to recognize that the
I was just,
prior
I
to
was just,
2018,
no, see,
the
Paul,
true
no, see,
Marvel
Paul,
#1 superhero was Storm.
Mm.
Facts.
The Regent of Soul.
Tamiko,
Speak her name. Put respect
I,
on her
and I
name.
and I'm for all of that. But all I said was, Tamiko, that she smacked Shuri. That's
And
what she
Shuri's all right.
did.
See,
She's all right
he's
though.
trying to trigger me again on my own show.
We're not talking about that comic, okay? We
Bruh,
had discussions
come
about it.
on, man.
Thank you, Tamiko.
So, Bree, you just read it on the side, and then you'll see why. Saying that particular comic and that issue just sets them off.
Oh,
Yeah,
no.
Brianna,
Okay,
your homework,
I'm a
your
DM
homework
Tamiko,
before you come back on the
Richie.
show is you got to read Marauders 13 so you can be like, yeah, Paul, I can understand why you are upset. I understand why you angry, bro.
So I'm gonna read it, but I'm a DM Tamiko first because y'all got too much skin in the game with this issue. For real.
No,
Yep, the high priest of the cult of Beth did not approve.
Listen. All I can say is that, you know, it was very.
I can't believe
The-
we're
the
still
reason-
talking about
Finish the
this.
statement.
I had to leave my own show because of my emotions over this book.
Yeah,
that
stop
book came out.
picking,
I'll tell you
Rich.
something.
Stop picking.
See, no. Here's the thing. Let me say this to you, Bria.
Rich
See,
is officially
we was
trolling
always-
me. He is
We were
full blown Herschel trolling me right now.
Oh,
Unabashedly. Look, he's still going.
Paul was in his feeling. Let me just keep it real. The reason why Paul was in his feeling is because we were all excited for that book. We were stoked for that book. We were talking about that book for weeks. Paul knows it. We got that book, we read it, and we were pissed.
oh, it was ugly.
And clearly are still pissed now. And I'm tickled by the fact that Rich is thoroughly tickled by how much it bothers y'all.
Listen, I'm
How much
easily
about this
amused,
Paul?
That's fair.
but you know, Storm is the queen. Storm is the queen. I love the queen. I do. I have. Listen,
Right, stop
I got
right there.
Storm right there.
Stop right there. Stop right there.
That book was, look, Brianna, the key word of that
Just
book
leave it.
is
Just let it go.
unnecessary.
Y'all gonna have me
Unnecessary.
on Comixology as soon as I log off.
When you read the book and you're done with the last page, I want you to remember that Paul said the word unnecessary. That's the theme of that book. Unnecessary.
Shout out to Vita. Love you. We out here.
Oh,
Look, Vita, we love you,
don't say
but
her name, please.
everyone does an L once in a while, and that book was your L.
I love you, Vita.
Ricky says, I agree with you, Paul. You are not making up for the 200 plus years of not knowing how to play the game. I don't know what that means.
Oh, probably
He's
about
talking
our
about the reparations.
reparations conversation.
Oh. Yeah, I mean,
Either way,
Yeah.
you know,
look,
we
you
all
can't
of
put
us
a
got to
dollar
get up.
figure on what me and mine have gone through. So
Well, you know what? If you can come up with about 9 or 10 figures,
six
I'll
zeros ain't enough. I'll tell you that.
I'll listen. I'll listen. And here's the thing: you got to watch the episode because at the end of the episode, it shows you what it would look like if we did in fact get reparations, and it's a beautiful thing. It really, really is. Here's the funny thing about it. Yes.
Is it really portrayed as beautiful?
Scene? Hold on. Paul, the restaurant scene. That wasn't beautiful.
The woman asking old dude for $3 million.
Don't give it away. Don't give it away.
All right, let's come back and talk about it once we've all watched it. But I can tell you this, having not watched it, even if you just blanketly gave everybody their reparations, everybody's story ain't gonna be beautiful because the reality of it is a lot of us have zero training or knowledge or education about money management. So everybody,
Briana, this is why I invited you on the show, because you understand where I'm coming from. A check ain't enough. That's exactly the point I'm trying to make.
It will fill some gaps, but it won't fill those gaps. So you give somebody who has zero money management skills, however many $1 million, they ain't gonna have it but for so long. So their story won't be beautiful. However, those of us who are privileged enough to have been given an experience where we have some semblance of sense and know what to do with an opportunity of that much money, yes, our experience will be beautiful. But I mean, that's human experience in general.
That's what's up. That's exactly what I'm saying.
But I tell you what.
When I can own my own country and not have to work, and know that my grandchildren don't have to work, and they don't have to ever worry about ever hearing the N-word ever again. Maybe that's.
I don't know about all that.
Let me help you. My great grandchildren don't even have to be without the N-word. I want y'all to still use that word and be mad and use it with the utmost malice, because when they're taken care of and they don't have to worry about those things, they'll be that much stronger for it because they've experienced both sides. So y'all can continue to be racist, but run me my check.
Give me my own country. Yes, I'll be satisfied.
Cut the check.
No, just give me a gift.
With resources.
Listen, I don't care.
Not a rock in the ocean. Like a country with resources. Paul land.
Well, good luck finding that, because you can't go to Africa. That belongs half of that belongs to China.
WAKANDA.
Hello.
WAKANDA. That's what it is. When I have WAKANDA with my servant and my wealth,
we kind of out of time. Everybody, we love y'all.
How you gonna be out of time on my show? I get to say when I'm out of time. Gosh darn it. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you. We're out of time. I appreciate my co-host, Richie Rich. Briana, we gotta come up with a name for you. All right, I'll let you submit your own name. If you don't submit a name and get it to us within a week, we're gonna come up with your own name. You're gonna be stuck with the name.
Well,
moderator Tamiko.
Breeze Bookish, all right.
Bookish Bree.
Breeze, but like Bree is bookish, but Breeze Bookish.
Breeze Bookish. That's like kind of long.
Come up with some other dopeness after that, but first and foremost, Breeze Bookish.
Do we agree on Breeze Bookish?
I don't need you to agree.
Bree the Book.
Bree Bookish is our
Breezy Books.
Established. Follow me on IG, YouTube channel coming soon. Point blank period.
There it is.
Breezy Books. I like Breezy Books.
All right, Paul.
Breezy Books? You don't like Breezy Books?
I'm telling you, I've been through the loops about branding, and I landed on Breeze Bookish, and it's
Breeze Bookish. Breeze Bookish?
Like Bree is bookish, Breeze Bookish.
Breeze Book. That's just a mouthful.
Vibe.
Breezy Books.
Okay. Y'all,
it's gangster. Breezy Books.
I said what I said. You know what's even more gangster than that? Me standing in my femininity and
all right, fine.
What you gonna call me?
Bookish. She said she goes. Kai Handy said she said what she said.
Thank you, Kai.
Bree is Cody says Bree is bookish. Interesting.
Follow me on IG.
That's what's up.
The people have the streets have spoken. Bree is bookish or Bree's bookish?
It's Bree's bookish.
Bree's bookish. So it's like Bree apostrophe S bookish.
Bookish. That's right.
Bree's bookish. All right. Bree's
bookish. About me.
God, Anderson, put some spect on it.
Put some spect on it.
Bree's bookish it is. All right. Thank you all. I appreciate you all. God bless you. Good night. Happy Easter. Spend time with your family. Make sure you hug somebody this weekend. It's a full moon outside. That's why Moon Night was so crazy this week. And I've had a crazy week with people. I don't want to get into it. This is the best part of my week right now. I'll just tell you that. Everything else will have So
Read
thank
your
y'all for that.
comics. Don't just put them in the bags and boards. Read your comics.
Read the comics. Buy the comics. Read the comics.
Mm-hmm.
I stole Tamiko's lines. Say the line, Tamiko. That's your line. Go ahead.
Buy the comics, read the comics.
Hey.
Tamiko says it far better than I do.
Yes, she does.
She says it with like style.
Tell you what, I get my reparations. I'm gonna buy a whole lot of comics.
Talk that garbage, Rich.
Rich, if you got reparations, you would literally buy a library and move into it. Let's be real.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yes.
You would find the
I have
biggest library in Texas, clear out a room for living space, and just move in.
Clearly, I would do
Absolutely.
the
I
same thing.
That sounds like a real good idea.
And he would also put a moat around it
Don't
with a
touch
sign
my-
that says "No mayonnaise."
No mayonnaise allowed. That's right.
Mhm.
I know my man.
It's like with a nice
I would
big
just
old
establish
Maybach
Paul
outside.
Conda.
Paul
That'll
Conda.
be our next episode. What would
talking
you
about
do with your
my name
reparations?
choice. You got to come up with something better than Paul Conda, man.
I'm just doing Wakanda. I mean, I don't care. I mean, I don't care if Disney owns the rights to it. I'm like, sue me. I got money.
Well, what kind of, hold
I'm
on,
doing
hold
my
on.
own Wakanda.
Okay. Now, what kind of food would you serve in Paul Conda?
Well, obviously, there would be barbecue every day
With baked mac and cheese.
with fake mac and cheese. What? What did you say?
I said with baked mac and cheese.
Oh, I thought you said fake mac and cheese. Oh, good God. No, real mac and cheese. Yes. Fake mac and cheese.
40 weight mac
With
and
no
cheese.
with no less than 3 different types of cheese. If you have less than 3 different
6 cheese or better.
6, I was gonna say 5, but damn, Briana,
Ooh,
I need to
okay.
have your mac and cheese. Talking about 6 cheese a bit. Good Lord.
There you
Can
go.
I-
Black Comic Lord's potluck coming soon. It's
All right,
lit.
so
Can we
next
get-
episode,
can we get-
everyone. Next episode, what would you do with your reparations check?
Oh, Lord.
man.
I want ideas. You want to talk about some Afrofuturism? Let's get crazy.
All right.
I tell you what, that boy, the future is ignorant. That's all I'm gonna say. That's all I'm gonna say. The future is ignorant.
Why does Cody S say
That's all
breezy
I'm-
books sounds like you spray books with Febreze?
See?
Boy,
I've been
you need to
through
leave
it.
this woman alone.
We've been through the different iterations.
Ricky
Breeze
Tom
bookish.
need to have some return
Mhm.
policy. South Carolina, oh shit, that's my spot. Charleston. I don't what?
Because I'm in Florence.
Oh, okay. You don't like mayonnaise on your sandwich. Cody, Rich does not like anything pertaining to mayonnaise.
Mm-mm.
What? So you just have a dry sandwich?
Just a little bit of mayonnaise. You know.
Mm-mm.
No. I like a little mayonnaise. It's not just a whole lot of mayonnaise. That's all.
Cody says
You know,
my
I'm
island
a
would
mustard
be
guy.
called what kind of?
I like spice.
What kind of reparations?
Mm.
Next episode, what are you doing with your reparations?
All I
Check?
know. It's,
All right,
it's an ignorant song.
Everybody
That's
think
all I
about
can
it.
say. Woo, Lord, it's-
think about it, marinate on it, fantasize about it, and speak it into reality.
Yeah.
All right.
I don't know.
All right, y'all be
I,
easy.
You know, Lord, have mercy. Deuces, peace.
How do I get out of this thing?
That's your first assignment with Wakanda. Figure out how to get out of here.
I gotta get it. All right, everybody.
Right.
Be good to each other and to each enjoy.
Deuces.